Got a minute? FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan, but please, call me York. That's what everyone calls me. That I am. Very astute of you. What do you know about her? So you don't know much about her. Sounds like you're deeply connected to this case, then. Why are you giving me the runaround? Zach, this man has got a very unique style to him. One last thing. Do you always dress this way? I'm not quite sure how to put it, but you're practically naked. Excuse me, but what are you doing? What are you searching for? You don't know. Interesting. Zach, this man is the perfect symbol of the human race. We all live out our lives searching for things, yet no one knows what they're actually searching for. That's what it means to be human. Don't you agree, Zach? I feel like that simple declaration of his just awakened us to something.
If you say so. I'll walk you home then. Red shadows? Why do they attack them? And you believe it? Okay. I'll be careful. Zach, did you hear that? Red shadows. Sounds like a must-see to me. Tired? In that case, let's call it a day. I'll pick you up somewhere tomorrow. You're right. Ladies should be safe at home by this hour. Be careful on your way back. Good night, Patty. Zach, I just felt a chill run up my spine. Let's be careful here. Zach, the countryside is always so entertaining. It has far more stimuli to offer than the big city. Mr. Alligator, not sure how much help you'll be in this situation, but I guess you're better than nothing. What the? Zach, I don't even need to say it, do I? This is right out of that movie. Videodrome, 1982, directed by David Cronenberg. At the time, it was seen as a hard movie to digest for normal moviegoers, but now it's become a cult classic. I always just saw it as another weird Canadian movie, but this changes everything. My arm and my gun have become one. Now I can really understand what Max was going through. Those movies from the 80s were all predicting the future. Life's simpler than what philosophers make it out to be. In the end, truth and reality are never one and the same. Now we have nothing to fear. Right, Zach? Let's march straight into this otherworldly abyss. Mr. Alligator. It's happening again, Zach. I still can't believe we were lucky enough to experience this once, let alone multiple times. This is incredible. We came all the way out to the middle of nowhere, only to find far more excitement than we'd ever get in the city. I have a lot more to say, but we should probably keep moving. Patty, you can see them? Since when? I see. So something must have changed for you 1 year ago. Just hide behind me. I promise to protect you from all the evil in our world. Got it? Patty, don't worry. I'll protect you. Of course they do, Patty. I doubt anyone would get used to seeing creatures like these. You don't need to act strong. Just hide behind me. I promise to protect you from all the evil in our world. No! Patricia! Zach, how about we grab a bite to eat? Not even I can think straight on an empty stomach. Zach, I can't go on. We need to eat something. At this rate, I'll be the first FBI agent to die of hunger while on duty. I'd prefer not to go down in history for that sort of first, if you don't mind. Hey, Zach, how long has it been since we last slept? Sleep deprivation impacts performance. We should get us a little shut-eye. No need to worry. The case will still be here when we wake up. Believe me, I'm all about focusing on the investigation. But we need to get some proper rest, Zach. Sleep deprivation is so debilitating that it's been used in the past to both torture and brainwash people. Now, why would we want to do that to ourselves? So, what's with all these flies? They're really starting to bug me. I'm not hallucinating, am I, Zach? In that case, we should change clothes and take these to the cleaners. Zach, if the answer is yes, I want you to give it to me straight. Am I the source of this foul stench? No wonder everyone in town was giving me those strange looks. We need to find a shower, or a sink, stat, and maybe some gum. Zach, it appears to be closed. Let's come back during business hours. Looks like a case of bad timing, Zach. Let's come back later. Why do you want to leave town, Zach? Don't tell me you want to go sightseeing down in New Orleans. Come on. Back to the investigation. There's nothing past here, except fields and fields of sugarcane, that is. Let's continue the investigation, Zach. I know we may be out in the boonies, but that doesn't mean we need to go frolicking through the fields all day. Zach, we shouldn't head too far south. Wandering through the swamp without a guide would be suicide. You wouldn't want to lose me out there, would you? Zach, we're heading toward the Mississippi River, and crossing that river isn't going to help us solve this case. Let's head back into town. Zach, why are you in such a hurry? This is the country. We should take our time and enjoy ourselves. Let's try living by their rules for a bit. You're not going to let me finish investigating here? Sometimes taking the most roundabout path is actually the most efficient way to reach one's destination. Isn't that right, Zach? I know. I don't want to feel bound by rules and tradition either. But you know what they say, Zach. Sometimes it's better to save the best for last. Let's finish our work up here first. Zach, don't tell me you're thinking about running away from this. No, I know you're not that kind of person. Come on, let's go and explore this abyss they call the other world. We can't leave now, Zach. We need to finish investigating first. Yes, I'm sure there's something worth finding inside here. You can sense it too, can't you? I've been curious about it since the first time I saw it. You've got excellent taste, Melvin. You're not only the sheriff of this town, you also manage a general store. That's terribly convenient, Melvin. But I have one concern. What if a crime occurs while you're managing the store, running a business and keeping the peace? Both jobs require immediate response in times of crisis. I just can't see how it would be possible. But what if a criminal who just robbed a bank came here on his way home and bought up all your stock? Melvin, that was a serious question. Get it, Zach? It's Occam's razor to a T. Melvin, I have to say you're a very balanced man. Now I feel confident that the Woods household will do just fine, even if you end up losing your job as town sheriff. Patty? Wow, I can't even find the right word to describe it. Yes, that's it. You're awesome, Patty. Truly amazing. Hey, Patty, do you need to stay here and watch over the shop? I don't mind if that's what you want to do. What if another customer comes in? Is that so? Zach, that sounds completely different from what Melvin told us. He said he started this shop simply for fun. Perhaps he's a much harder worker than we gave him credit for.
Did I hear wrong then? Set me straight, would you, Chef? I thought that Cajun food was the norm in Acadiana. Why would you go out of your way to serve Creole food here? A famous restaurant. That's incredible. Was it Arnaud's? Antoine's? No, don't tell me, I got it. Brennan's, right? Very intriguing. That food was unbelievable. I see you weren't lying about undergoing training at that famous restaurant. And you must have undergone some rigorous training in order to gain such refined technique. You put so much care into preparing everything just right. And your manipulation of that low-temp flame in order to bring out such a pleasant fragrance, simply perfect. This is true Creole food. You have to tell me now. Which famous restaurant did you train yourself at? Come on, Chef, we need to know. Zach and I are begging you. Really? Fine, we'll take it. Just say it. No, you can't mean, I'll bet they worked you pretty hard. So that's how you acquire the mental fortitude necessary to cook such amazing food. Amazing. Zach, did you hear all that? That's an incredible story, David. You really are a true chef. Both Zach and I have given you our official approval. Great. Sounds convenient. Would you mind if I asked you just one question, concierge? Do you run this entire hotel all on your own? I mean, just the three of you? So you, or the three of you, own the entire place. So the Clarksons own this place too. Impressive. No wonder this building has such a dignified air to it. So who's the owner? I simply must know the name of the person who had the fortune and sense to come into possession of such a fine building. Zach, that's the fourth David. It all makes sense now. It'd be stranger if only the owner was a completely different person. I sincerely hope I get a chance to meet him during my stay here. Why not? Hey, bellboy, what's this balloon doing here? The transportation service. Zach, we haven't seen a single taxi since we got to this town, have we? What does the balloon call then? Wyvern? That pushy entrepreneur? Why are you helping her out? So calling her from here costs more than calling her from somewhere else? I see. Zach, it looks like we've run into yet another unique rural custom. King size, made in France. It looks soft enough to alleviate all our exhaustion. Zach, even though the Bureau is paying for this, it's still tiring to have to live out of hotel rooms day after day. Nothing beats getting a good night's sleep in your own room. This is quite an old computer. I wonder if those new USB memory sticks will even work on a computer like this. Zach, check it out. They figured out a way to store 4 whole gigabytes of data within this tiny plastic stick. In this past couple of years, the maximum amount of possible storage has increased at a lightning fast pace. Remember the old days? When we had to organize picture data one file at a time? I'm very satisfied with the decorations and the size of this closet, Zach, and it's even got a security box. What else could a man ask for? It's proof that we're still safely inside the fringes of modern civilization. Due to the nature of our work, we've had to stay at hotels all over America. But Zach, do you know what I hate most about living out of a hotel? Shower pressure. The shower was invented so that human beings could quickly bathe in large quantities of water, correct? Yet there are far too many hotels in our nation that have showers with embarrassingly weak water pressure. It's an outrage. And I'll keep tooting my horn about this every chance I get, believe you me. Zach, it's an altar, a sweltering sun, suffocating humidity, and voodoo. Things simply couldn't get any more Louisianan than this. Now this is the deep South. So deep. Look at that, Zach. Someone left a charm here in perfectly good condition right on the floor. What do you say we give it a try? What a strange feeling. It looks like there are spots to place other items as well. If we find anything that seems like it might fit, let's bring it back here. After all, what do we have to lose? What, you think that sounds like a pain in the neck? Come on now, Zach. Surely you know that all rituals work this way. Blessings from beyond will only come to those who exhibit the finest level of courtesy and reverence. In short, they're reflections of the self. Only with a mind deep in the dirt will you know true tranquility. Then your body will turn to dust and dance with the wind. Who came up with that quote? That one was all me, Zach. You can tell this town was built by a very methodical person. No. Wait, maybe they just didn't care, and that's why it ended up this way. Either way, this town clearly forced nature to bend to its rules. A perfect symbol of the human condition. Yes, I can feel the horrible weight of all the sins that have been committed here. Can't you, Zach? Zach, here's another perfect symbol of the human condition. Hunting trophies. And it's a buffalo hunting trophy. Now that's a surprise. I've seen several trophies made out of human skin, but never a buffalo's. Looking at him brings out this strange feeling from within me. Yes, the very same feeling I got when watching a certain film from 1984, directed by Peter Hyams, 2010. The last scene in that film filled me with such a sublime, majestic feeling. It was filled with everything that was missing from the finale of 2001, A Space Odyssey. Just talking about it makes me want to watch it again. Let's watch it once we get home. Promise, Zach. Whether it's a restaurant or a hotel, the key to charming your customers is how you present your bathroom. I'm sure you feel the same way, don't you, Zach? Now this is the kind of bathroom a person can really get excited about. It might even trump the one we saw in that drug dealer's house in Austin. Remember? The art piece on display in there utilized the natural curves of human ribs in such a novel way. It was truly brilliant. Zach! Deep South. Is this place a bowling alley or a restaurant? How do you explain that, then? No complaints here. No wonder you call this restaurant the best Louisiana's got to offer. Hold on just one moment, Alexis. I always thought that both Creole and Cajun food were staples of the South. Am I misunderstanding something? Interesting. Now I understand what you mean about the Cajun and Creole food being completely different, but I still insist that both are shining examples of delicious local food. Roots and history aren't that important, are they? I get it now. According to your interpretation, Creole food is contributing to that wrong impression. Hello, ma'am. Would you mind if I used this lane for a bit? Yes, that's right. I have the potential to become a semi-pro bowler. Therefore, I'd like to test my mettle on this lane. The bowling bug has bitten me, and it refuses to let go. By the way, Mrs. Carpenter, remember the first time I bowled for you and showed you that I had what it takes to go semi-pro? Was there any special reason why the lane was open that day? Meaning, intriguing. I'd love to hear more. Alligator figurine? You threw it away? Who said that? Eternal love, Zach. Isn't it wonderful? But why do you think her husband ever bought her that thing in the first... No, we better not go there, Zach. Mysteries are far more romantic when they're left unsolved, especially mysteries that are connected to romance. So Professor R owns this place and you manage it all on your own? What sort of relationship do you have with her? What's your job? No special drugs on some secret menu? Even in Louisiana, drug use is rampant. Who? Oh? Well, I'd certainly like to hear about him. The Pietà, David, Laocoon and his sons. If I listed everything, we'd be here all day. I completely agree with you, bartender. But why did you bring up Michelangelo? The ultimate task a single human can achieve over a period of 4 years. It truly is a masterpiece, worth every compliment. But why do I remind you of Michelangelo? And, yeah, I guess you could say that. Have what? Zach, he really got the jump on us back there. After all that dramatic build-up, I never expected him to reach such a vapid conclusion. Perhaps he's nothing but atmosphere. I'm completely outmatched, that's for sure. I could never hope to exude as much sheer atmosphere as that man, especially during such pointless conversations. Of course not. You're my mentor, after all. When that happens, I hope you'll expand and open up stores all throughout the U.S. Otherwise, I'll have to come down to Louisiana every time I need to fix up my darling. Absolutely not, Emma. I'm serious. Your skills are top class. You figured out how I ride my board merely from the friction marks, then adjusted my trucks based on that. The wheel and bearing selection in your shop makes perfect sense to me. Your finesse with applying the deck tape was also impeccable. It's rare to find an artisan who thinks this deeply about her customers. I now understand why you call this a workshop rather than a garage. Emma, you should be more confident. Zach and I both guarantee that you possess true talent in your craft. Thanks for the help. By the way, Pastor, or should I call you Doctor, why is this town's clinic part of the church? It's hard for me to believe that two intricate facilities such as these would mesh well together. True. That's very convenient, Doctor. But is convenience the only thing that matters in our world? Being able to bowl while you eat is certainly entertaining. But this is a different matter entirely. Does the Lord know that his lost lambs are all coming here to pick up their painkillers right after service? Do the coughs and moans ever mix in with the hymns? Doesn't the smell of antiseptics or the ambulance sirens ever interrupt morning prayer? You've got a point. But we aren't in wartime right now. Aren't you worried about more peaceful problems? For example, if a patient or even one of your nurses starts making a confession during a surgery, would you stop the surgery and focus on their confession? Or would you continue the surgery and listen to the confession whenever you take a breather? Then what about this? During surgery, a patient asks you to euthanize them. What if they beg you to let them die so that they can go and be with God? What would you do? I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'd just like to clear up all the questions that popped into my mind. Answer me, Doctor. Would you let them die, or would you ignore their pleas? I see. Another perfect answer. Well then, Doctor, or should I say Pastor, whatever you are, please just allow me to ask one final question. How do you use the profits you earn from the clinic? They aren't offerings or donations. It's nothing but pure profit, yes? I'm just wondering about how you deal with this in terms of U.S. tax law. Very comfortable. But the best part was definitely the speed. I'll do just that. Where's the thing I just bought? So where's my thing? The other realm? You can see the same world as the skeletal gentleman? Zach, it appears that there's still a lot about this world that we don't understand. This is the deep south. There's no telling what might happen next. Chuck, that was quite a stimulating experience. I feel like you truly possess a special talent for this. Don't misunderstand me, Chuck. I wasn't talking about your physical characteristics or your motor abilities. Your talent for entertaining people. On the surface, you appear to push people away. But deep down, you're actually a people person who loves to entertain. And thanks to that, you were able to teach an outsider like me about the true beauty of this swamp. Using your own unique method, of course. Entertaining people is a talent, and you've got it. That's what I think is special. The person who gave you permission to farm here must have also noticed that about you, which is why they felt comfortable about giving you free range over this area. They must have been convinced that you were the best possible tour guide for the swamps of Lucare. Zach, Chuck also possesses one other special quality, his obsession with his own turf. When a living creature owns its own turf, it'll risk its life to protect it. To that creature, losing its turf means instantly losing its ability to survive. Perhaps PJ's son entrusted the swamp to Chuck because he noticed this quality as well. By the way, Patty, what do you usually do when you're at home? Oh, no. I just figured that since we're working together now, it'd be a good idea to learn a little more about you. There's a time and a place for everything. You know exactly who I am. And I've also introduced myself to your father. Besides, you're the one who said you wanted to come with me. You shouldn't automatically trust someone just because they're an FBI special agent. One's profession and one's personality are completely separate things. For example, one special agent may fall spiritually in love with a genius criminal who enjoys the taste of human flesh. Just because it's a film doesn't mean it isn't deeply rooted in reality. You can't judge people solely based on where they work or how they look. You need to think hard and decide things for yourself. So allow me to ask you this. How do you feel about me? Exactly. Now it sounds like you're thinking. You should never feel the need to force an answer out or pretend like you know something you don't. Zach, she's a good kid, isn't she? Honest and straightforward. Oh. What? Zach, did you hear that? No need to worry. Neither of us are weird, I can assure you of that. She's probably just having trouble finding the right word to describe us. No, I think I'll stop there. Wouldn't want her to think we're getting desperate. Okay, Patty. I'm going to try asking you that question again. What do you do when you're at home, really? For some reason, I envisioned you working hard to take care of all the chores around the house. Other kids your age don't help out their parents. They're too busy talking with their friends on the phone or through emails. How do you prefer to boost your self-esteem then? That's awfully mature of you. Okay then. So what do you do after you finish all your chores? You don't turn on CNN and pour yourself some bourbon, do you? Like what? Live sports? Thank you, Patty. That was very informative. Well, what do you think, Zach? Her tastes are, they're a bit hard to describe. Wait, don't even say it. I know exactly what you're thinking, and I'm in full agreement. So you clearly love TV shows, but what about movies? Like what? Like what? What's the last one you saw? The Sixth Day, 2000, directed by Roger Spottiswoode. You must be very well versed in sci-fi if you can appreciate an Arnold S. film. That's right. It's realistic. Everything about that film is so realistic. It may be difficult for a child to understand. But, Patty, that's not your fault. All of Arnold S.'s films are filled with hyper-realism, you know. On top of that, Roger Spottiswoode is a director who excels in dealing with hardcore subject matter. Turner and Hooch, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Each film features one of the toughest tag teams you'll ever find. I can see why it's beyond you, though. It's okay, Patty. You don't need to try and act like an adult to impress me. I didn't understand the charm of Arnold S. films when I was your age either. You need to take your time and slowly reel the film in. Do that, and Arnold S. will greet you with a big, warm smile. Zach, she's at a sensitive age. We both know full well that this is the official way to refer to the film star, but she isn't used to it, so it's bothering her. When in Rome, Schwarzenegger will greet you with a big, warm smile. Zach, my mouth feels weird. How many fingers do you think we'd need to count the number of people who actually call him Schwarzenegger? We'll just have to stomach it for her sake, Zach. Patty, we're investigating here. I think it's about time we cut the chit-chat and got back to work. It really seemed like you knew who Galena Clarkson was. You've got a point, but did everyone really hate her that much? Contemptful? She was rich, beautiful, and wanted to become an actress. So she went to a metropolitan city to refine herself. There's always a chance that people like her may develop prejudices towards those who stay in the countryside. A big chance, even. But just because a person has prejudices doesn't mean they'll go out and murder people. That's where my doubt lies. Was there any sort of omen which made people happy that she was the killer instead of someone else? There it is, Zach. It appears that her attempt to kill me wasn't simply a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sad, perhaps. Instead of returning as a star, she was forced to come home after her dreams were crushed. That certainly sounds like a sad story, doesn't it, Zach? Who? P.J. Clarkson? That's okay, Patty. Just let me know if you happen to recall it later. Until then, Zach and I will help you think. You didn't even twitch when you saw Galena's body. Girls your age don't usually think that way. No, I don't. I'm not married either. In that case, allow me to apologize. But don't you think it's a bit of a leap to discount my observational abilities simply because corpses don't scare you? Do you know what I was thinking back there then? The same goes for me, Patty. No manner of pro could ever know 100% of what another person is thinking, unless, of course, that pro has a mental connection with them, like Zach and I have. If I was telepathic, I wouldn't have joined the FBI. I would have taken over a small country or become a messiah. I will admit, though, Patty, I feel like you and I have something in common. We definitely have similarities, even though they aren't as strong as the ones that Zach and I share. Perhaps you and I grew up under similar circumstances. We're both unique cases. In your case, your beautiful mother's second husband became your daddy, but then your mama got sick, forcing you to take care of things, while you used CSI as your escape. Narrow-minded? You're just realizing this now? Of course I'm narrow-minded. I'm a selfish man who lives life according to his own rules, with no interest in common sense. Naturally, this makes me terrible at reading situations, and I often end up angering people by total accident. But is it really that big of a problem? I've still made a contribution to society by solving numerous difficult cases, and I'm still terribly charming. Try asking Zach. It's not my place to answer that one. What else have you seen on that sci-fi movie channel? Discussing movies is one of the most basic forms of communication in our country. It's always been that way in every era. In this country, all dialogues always begin from films. Sick. I know just what you need to do, Patty. Tell me what other movies you've seen on that sci-fi channel. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. 2003, directed by Jonathan Mostow. I knew you were an Arnold S. fan. So, what did you think? What? You've never seen Terminator? I know, but come on. It's Terminator. Titanic. Oh, you mean Raise the Titanic. 1980, directed by Jerry Jameson. But he didn't direct Terminator. He's famous for Airport 77 and The Deadly Tower. You probably know this already, but The Deadly Tower was based on the 1966 Texas Tower sniper incident. I learned about it at the FBI Academy in Quantico. In the film, Kurt Russell plays Charles Joseph Whitman, the assailant. He really brought the character to life with an awe-inspiring performance. What's wrong, Patty? I'm just trying to talk about Terminator 3, that movie you saw, but you're not paying any attention. So be it. If you're not in the mood to talk, then let's return to the investigation. It's a shame, though. We really wanted to hear more about the films you saw. Didn't we, Zach? Did you notice anything strange before your daddy went missing? Did he seem different from usual, or say things that didn't make sense? Zach, she's putting on a strong face, but it's clear that she's very worried. Let's try and cheer her up a bit. What's the best thing to say in times like these? Unfortunately, it looks like your parents disappearing is connected with this case somehow. Melvin seems to love you so much. It's hard for me to believe he would just disappear and leave you all alone. Something must be afoot here. I wish I could tell you I'm sure they're okay, even without any evidence. But I hate lies, Patty. I can't guarantee that they're safe. That's my honest opinion, of course. Zach and I feel the same way, but if you happen to think of anything that might help, please let me know. Even the tiniest piece of information could end up coming in handy. Meaning? Zach, it seems like she and her mother possess some kind of secret bond, but we shouldn't try to force it out of her. Yes, you're exactly right. Let's just keep our eyes on her for now. So, what do you think of Casa Pineapple? Did you sleep well last night? In times like these, ample sleep and rest are paramount. What? You're worried about Melvin and Candy, aren't you? You don't like the bed. Or your pillow. Want me to ask David to switch them out for different ones? Well then, what's wrong? Go on. No need to hold back. As of now, you and I are full-fledged partners on this investigation. It's only natural for us to be concerned about each other's health. Me? I'm sorry. Do I snore or something? It's okay. I can take it. Oh, is that it? Patty, I utilize my sleep to its maximum potential so that I can always utilize my own maximum potential out on the field. In fact, I was trained to do so. You don't need to worry about me. In any case, I'm glad we got to the bottom of what's causing you to lose sleep, Patty. I'm sure you must feel better now. Make sure you get a good long rest tonight. So, what other movies have you seen on that sci-fi movie channel? What did I tell you? In This Country, All Dialogues. Around the World in 80 Days. 2004, directed by Frank Karachi, starring Jackie Chan and Steve Coogan. Unfortunately, Patty, it appears that you didn't watch this film closely enough. Then you must have been far too distracted. He's in it, Patty. That's right. Arnold S. is in that movie. You're exactly right. In October of 2003, he became the new governor of California, but he was still able to appear in the film since it was in a small enough capacity not to interfere with his governing duties. You can find him in the Istanbul segment. That's right. He played Prince Hapi, a romantic with long hair, skilled at telling stories and playing the guitar. He was so in character. Even I didn't recognize him at first glance. Flawless makeup, hairstyling, costume design, and impeccable acting. I was speechless. I believe that entering the political world only allowed him to further widen his acting repertoire. His acting was always so realistic and full of presence. But then, he went and added elaborate technique on top of it. Perfection. Patty, I'm now convinced that you've been seduced by his charm without even realizing it. That's why you've been unconsciously seeking out films that he appears in. You don't need to feel embarrassed. It's a perfectly natural phenomenon. You're right, Patty. This is no time for idle chatter. We have two important goals now. Solving this case and finding your daddy. Let's get back to work. No more chit-chat. You heard her, Zach. We need you to focus as well. Hey, Zach, it looks like we were right on the money. Tracing the San Rouge distribution route led us right to Louisiana. You know what that means. We've got a hot hand, and Lady Luck's given us far more favor than she ever has before. We just happened to hear news about Lisa's murder while sitting in a bar during our vacation in New Orleans. That certainly wouldn't have happened if we had stayed in D.C. They would have given the case to another special agent, or maybe even to the state, and then we never would have found it. In the end, it would have been shut up in that vast, desolate evidence vault along with all the other cases, marked by nothing but a first-degree murder tag buried in a soggy grave at the bottom of a sea of data. That would have been its fate. Instead, it traveled from person to person until it finally fell right into our lap. Things always work out that way for us. We've traveled all over the United States trying to track down San Rouge. We can't let this chance pass us by, can we, Zach? We need to find some sort of clue before this southern sun melts it all away. So, what do you think of him? Yes, I'm talking about him. Hungan. Is the skeletal gentleman friend or foe? Or does he merely exist outside the realms of either? Still too early to tell. But it's clear that he'll be the key to uncovering this case's mysteries. That's what my soul tells me. By the way, Zach, Hungan feels very familiar to me. You might even say he reminds me of someone. Yes, I think I see the connection now. A cheerful, wise, yet also mysterious African-American who appeared in a variety of different films. My mind must be overlapping him with the skeletal gentleman. Do you remember his name? Ah, yes, that's it. Scatman Crothers. In 1980, he played Dick Halloran in The Shining, and in 1983, he was in The Twilight Zone. He played the man who invited all those elderly folks into a strange new world. I knew it, Zach. There's definitely a connection here, but he's a bit too old. Scatman's more of a sage character. Our skeletal gentleman is a little younger, isn't he? Yes. They have different body types, but what about Forrest Whitaker? He made his debut in 1982 in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then he was in Platoon and The Color of Money, both released in 1986, followed by Good Morning Vietnam in 1987. Oh, and he was in Bird in 1988. What an impressive filmography. Across the 80s, he transformed his rough, young image into a more cheerful, wiser one. That's why the 80s can also be described as the decade that built up Forrest Whitaker's career. I firmly believe that he'll win an Academy Award for Best Actor someday. Yes, I'm sure it's right around the corner. He'll most likely wait until the time is ripe. Maybe around next year, then he'll unleash his best performance yet. Zach, I could go on about famous actors forever, but we have a case to solve here. Let's table this discussion for now. Did you notice it yet? The streets in New Orleans were a mess. All busted up and undergoing maintenance. The city was built on a swamp, so the ground is soft. All it takes is some heavy rain to cave it all in. There were also a lot of places where large tree roots were pushing up parts of the asphalt and the sidewalk. Those bumps were dangerous even when we still had our car, remember? But this town is different. The streets are all paved so cleanly that we can skate along them without a care in the world, and there's hardly any trash or graffiti to be found anywhere. The Clarksons truly do control this place. For better or worse, it's a good example of how allowing certain people to rise to power can have positive effects as well. Also, don't you find that Southern people are remarkably friendly, even to total strangers? Both here and in New Orleans, I've been amazed at how cordial everyone is. Is it just the way things are down here? You certainly don't see that sort of thing in New York or D.C. They never stop to chit-chat. Especially when ordering food. They only say what's necessary, without any decoration. A customer only makes eye contact with the waiter about once every 3 times they interact. But that's just how it is. Isn't that right, Zach? The human relationships here are as fluid as an inorganic mechanism running on the smoothest, purest oil there is. And it feels strangely comfortable. After spending time in New Orleans and coming here, I think I'm starting to like the Southern disposition. They even have their own breed of bizarre crimes. And besides, the New Orleans area is famous for its paranormal culture. I'm sure it'll entertain us somehow. It's still a bit of a ways off, but perhaps we can also do a little case study for our post-retirement plan. What, you still think it's too early for that? I wouldn't say so. It's never too early to be prepared. Come on, I know you're with me on this one, Zach. Were you thinking about Galena, too? And all the other women we've seen so far on our travels across the states? Zach, I'm right, aren't I? This is a vast country. Incredibly vast. And it's mostly composed of mountains, deserts, and farmland, with small towns scattered about here and there. That's how America looks to me. Compared to the scale of this entire country, New York, Chicago, and L.A. are all microscopic. Sometimes they even feel like figments of my imagination. Think back to what Las Vegas looked like when we were driving up I-15. It was a mirage, but TV and movies dress up those mirages and broadcast them to people all around the world. Meanwhile, American women become fascinated by the gorgeous city lights and are drawn toward those illusions. The very same women who were chosen as prom queens in their small towns. In the end, All they find are ghosts. Once their eyes adjust to that blinding light, they realize there's nothing but vanity and lust surrounding them. They finally figure out that it was all in their heads. Then they quickly try to satisfy themselves with something else. Drugs. And drugs are the gateway to a whole pantheon of crime. Zach, remember what you told me once? The women who turn to crime aren't the evil ones. The drugs aren't evil either. They're nothing but chemicals. The ones who feed off those women and use them. They're the ones to hate. Let's go, Zach. We need to find the person who's hiding behind Galena and drag them out into the blazing southern sun. If this town has a symbol, it's got to be that bridge hanging over the bayou. Lift bridges are truly a rarity. Reminds me of Duluth, Minnesota. Remember what happened there? That man went to such great lengths to collect his victims' tongues. You know, the one who would French kiss them every day as they slowly decompose. As I drove him to the station after his arrest, he started lecturing me on the proper way to give someone a kiss. Anyway, back to Duluth. They have a famous lift bridge there called the Aerial Lift Bridge. The lift bridge here is the first one we've seen since then, but this one looks a lot smaller than the Aerial Lift Bridge. Its smaller size was most likely chosen due to the width of the river and the sea level of this area. The height and structure of a bridge is what determines which sort of boats can travel down the river. Normal bridges' base heights are set at a higher point so that boats can freely pass underneath them. But I imagine it would be difficult to create a bridge with a large arch here due to the river width and the sea level. That's why we're seeing all these mobile bridges such as lift bridges and drawbridges around here. As far as Louisiana goes, it appears that they've built mobile bridges over most of the bayous. Fascinating, isn't it, Zach? So many different types of bridges. I'm curious to learn even more about bridges now. Let's do some detailed research next time we get the chance. Hey, want to talk about bridges? Why? I've become obsessed with bridges, Zach, and there's no turning back now. Remember what we saw on our way here? Back when we were driving that hybrid car before we switched over to the skateboard. We passed over the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, the longest bridge over water in the entire world. Remember the sudden downpour that made it impossible for us to see the road? The rain was so torrential that we couldn't see more than a few miles ahead of us. I'm sure local drivers are used to that sort of thing. They were all going normal speeds. I'll bet that scene reminded you of a certain film. Or perhaps a certain person? Violent City, 1970. Directed by Sergio Salima. I only ever saw it on TV when I was a kid, so I don't remember it very well. But I definitely remember that it featured a bridge. A long bridge. During the New Orleans part, that's the one thing I remember. That bridge must have been the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. And the film starred Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson. What an amazing sound. You couldn't possibly find another man whose name matches his appearance so perfectly. Yes, of course I know that Charles Bronson isn't his real name. Charles Dennis Buczynski. That's his real name, but he's Bronson. Period. Zach, what's your favorite Bronson film? Death Wish? The Magnificent Seven? Rider on the Rain? Or Farewell Friend? They're all masterpieces, but to me, his greatest work lies elsewhere. That's it, Zach. No wonder we get along so well. I don't care what anyone else says. His greatest film by far is 10 to Midnight, 1983, directed by J. Lee Thompson. There's no realism to be found in this movie, but that's what makes it so great. One might even call it a fantasy masterpiece. It was certainly filled with unprecedented fantasy compared to other police thrillers, that's for sure. You know, Zach, I'm suddenly getting the urge to watch it again. Let's hurry up and solve this case so that we can go rent the DVD. We've been in this town for longer than we originally planned, haven't we? Oh no, I'm not complaining. I'm used to living out of a hotel, and I love Southern food. There are some inconveniences, though. There's no movie theater in this town. Nor is there a video rental store, and the TV in the hotel room doesn't get any of the on-demand movie channels. We'll just have to get lucky and encounter a movie being shown on TV. The movie environment in Lucare is no different from that of the 70s, Zach. No, they don't have a movie theater. So I suppose it's even farther back than that. But it's true that these are the times in which one always encounters the best movies. It's always been that way, hasn't it? Think back with me. Remember that hotel in the rundown town near Monroeville, just outside of Pittsburgh? I took a shower, and by the time I got back into bed, it had already started. Time Walker. 1982, directed by Tom Kennedy. I started watching it without any idea as to what it was about, but it instantly got me hooked. The plot highly exceeded all my expectations. Constantly revealing shocking truth after shocking truth, it was a hyper-realism masterpiece. Even after we checked out from the hotel, we
couldn't get that film out of our heads. Not even when we stopped by the Monroeville Mall, the primary filming location for Dawn of the Dead. Instead of the living dead, both you and I were totally preoccupied with thoughts of that living mummy. And we were so excited to visit the Monroeville Mall, too. You kept insisting that you were going to track down those kumquats that Roger had eaten. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only reason I took on that case was because I knew it would let us travel out there. Instead, Time Walker blindsided us. And that's all we could think about. Even when we were inside the mall, we were both off in a different world. There you have it, Zach. A beautiful memory of an encounter with an 80s masterpiece in a very unexpected place. Lena Doman, a.k.a. Professor R. How could such an intelligent person like her suffer such a tragic downfall? Does the South really corrupt people like Patty said? This sunlight certainly seems capable of breaking someone down. No matter how you try to resist it, it's so hot it feels like I'm burning up, but that doesn't explain it. Perhaps we really do need to focus on the Clarkson bloodline itself. Everything in this town, whether it's visible or invisible, it all carries shades of their influence. Buildings, people, conversations, food. Right down to each blade of grass. There isn't anything beyond the reach of the Clarksons' breath. Even San Rouge itself was created by Clarkson blood. Zach, just looking at the people involved in this case tells us all we need to know, don't you think? What stands before us now aren't your usual serial killers, and not even your usual drug case. It's the history of sin that's weighing down the shoulders of the massive entity known as the Clarkson family. And we're simply lost souls wandering through its colossal womb. We need to be like Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket, put our heads together and find the way out, no matter what we go up against, no matter what situation we find ourselves in. Our mission never changes. We need to apprehend the perpetrator and bring them to justice. It's as simple as that, Zach. Why do you think the Clarksons chose a dragonfly for their family crest? In some European countries, dragonflies are called devil's needles, and folklore suggests that they fly around, sewing up the mouths of children who don't do as they're told. In Japan, some samurai helmets are also shaped like dragonflies. There, dragonflies are seen as beneficial insects who march valiantly ahead, preying on the pests that devour crops. In other words, dragonflies symbolize opposite things depending on whether you're in the East or the West. But why did the Clarksons choose this insect to be their symbol? I can't help but feel like it's something deeper than the cliched image of dragonflies as guardians of crops. Hungan called the dragonfly a flying serpent. What if his interpretation was right on the mark? The Clarksons are serpentine. Savage, cunning, and skilled at protecting themselves, but they don't slither along the ground. They're serpents with wings that allow them to soar above the rest, but now those wings are starting to fail on them. That's what really triggered this incident. After acquiring wings, the serpent attained prosperity and was crowned in glory, but now it's lost its power, wavering, moments away from plummeting back down to the earth, so it started lashing out against others, just like it used to do before it gained its wings. Sort of sounds like an ancient myth, doesn't it, Zach? Do you think Patty's okay? She acts strong, but it seemed like she was deeply distraught. Where did Melvin disappear to? The same goes for her mother, Candy. We never even got a chance to meet her mother. Did they get swallowed up into the Clarksons' vortex as well? We need to hurry, Zach. As of now, Patty could be in danger. Can't stop moving until we find the source to all this chaos. Patty, we can finish this later. Let's focus on the task at hand for now. Let's pause that discussion, Patty. Our attention is required elsewhere. Hold that thought, Patty. Seems like the time for chit-chat is over. Okay, Patty, back to our conversation. Where did we leave off? Now back to the fun stuff. Let's shoot the breeze, Patty. Sure, Patty. Conversations are the basis to all communication. Good question. Don't sweat the small stuff, Patty. Let's just start back at square one. Patty, what's that? That thing I'm pointing at. That thing. Right there, Patty. It's a beautiful day, Patty. Now that you mention it, yes, it is a normal day. I just felt like saying that. Hey, let's shout something out loud. Chocolate Sundae. Yes, it's a devilish song, isn't it? Want to hear about all the depraved serial killers I've encountered so far? Patty, you're getting more and more curious about all the depraved serial killers I've encountered so far, aren't you? Patty, this town is so peaceful. True, but it's still far more peaceful than the city I live in. Patty, You live in a very peaceful town. Hey, Patty, nothing. Just felt like saying that. Yes? Zach, let's wrap this up later. Let's put a pin in this for now. I don't think we'll ever be able to curb this bad habit of ours. Do you, Zach? Zach, time to press pause on that. So, Zach, back to what I was saying. Okay, where did I leave off again? Oh well. I guess we'll just have to start back at the beginning. We had to stop talking right before we got to the good part, didn't we? Let's just go back to the beginning. This town sure is peaceful, Zach. Yes, I know. I know what you're about to say. But that's why we're here. To protect this peace. Isn't that right, Zach? 1 lollipop? 2 lollipops? 3 lollipops? Don't mind me, Zach. This is how I wake myself up. Zach, which one was it? Star Wars or Superman? Which one was it, Zach? Superman or Star Wars? No, wrong. Zach, that wasn't even close. That was Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is the Deep South. I feel it every time that molten hot sun pours down on me. Don't you, Zach? Zach, you're a coffee person, right? No sugar, only milk. Yes, I'm completely with you on that one. Hey, Zach. Oh, nothing. Just felt like saying that.
Zach. Zach. Can you hear me, Zach? There you are, Zach. Sleeping again? Well, rise and shine. It's time for us to head back out into the chaos. Isn't that right, Zach? Zach, it looks like she wants us to join her for breakfast. Perhaps this town's finally starting to warm up to us. Look at that, Zach. She's welcoming us with open arms. She's even willing to share that tasty morsel with us. What an honor. What an amazing place. I've been on top of the moon since the moment I got here. And the name of this wonderful town, Le Carré, sounds like French to me. But what does it mean? Did you hear that, Zach? He's a true professional. No, not to you. I was just talking to Zach. Please don't ask me about Zach. It's a private matter. I do work for the FBI, but I didn't come here for an investigation. I just happened to stop by on my way to New Orleans. Zach, he's definitely a professional. But it seems like he's also a bit lonesome. That's good. Ambivalence exists everywhere. Actually, Chef David, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the incident. Please do. I appreciate it. You said the victim was a 16-year-old. Did you know her? Meaning, the Clarkson family? What do you know about the Clarkson's house? I see. I'll keep that in mind. Is the local law enforcement investigating the case? When you say it was like something from a TV show, what exactly do you mean? I just can't seem to keep myself away from young women who died in bizarre ways. An altar? Voodoo? That's all? So she was sacrificed. Bingo, Zach. This case has got our names all over it. Live and Let Die, Angel Heart, and The Pelican Brief, right? 9 out of 10 people will name those titles when you ask them to think of a film set in New Orleans. They're all excellent movies, but to me, they lack realism. Due to my line of work, I have a tendency to think deeply about what feels real and what doesn't. Cat People. That's my point. Cat People, 1982. Directed by Paul Schrader. The crowning achievement of Nastasia Kinski, the ultimate muse of the 80s. The most vital element of that movie is the reality it depicts. Leopards who turn into humans have intercourse with humans and turn back into leopards. Then they can only turn back into humans again if they mutilate their lovers. I was awestruck by the sheer reality of it all. Understand? I'm talking about hyper-realism. After watching it, I felt like I just had to experience the world of Cat People for myself. That's why I decided to visit New Orleans. Another vital element of Cat People is the presence of Malcolm McDowell. Malcolm McDowell from Blue Thunder. Oh, talk about a masterpiece. Listen carefully, David. Only an amateur would call A Clockwork Orange his best movie. His best movies are Cat People and Blue Thunder, period. You need to remember this, because it's the truth. Never mind, don't worry about it. I already covered all the important parts. Well, that's a very good question. Chef David, you've got a sharp eye. It's true that I didn't park my car in your parking lot. Do you know why? Because it was stolen. Even FBI cars can be stolen. It could happen after you park your car on the side of the road and go off to do some legwork. When you're eating lunch, when you're watching a movie, when you're asleep at night, When you're buying cigarettes at the local supermarket, your car can be stolen anywhere. That's precisely what it means to be an FBI agent. In my case, my car was stolen while I was on my way down here, but no need to worry. I already reported it to the local authorities, and I've also already acquired another mode of transportation. Want to hear the details? Then please do. After I finished my work in Houston, I flew to New Orleans. Then, I rented a car at the airport. Whenever I visit the West Coast, I always rent a convertible, especially in California. But now I'm in hot and sticky Louisiana, so I decided on a brand new hybrid car with a fully equipped air conditioning system. Oh yes, they're marvelous. Vehicles that utterly defy everything you think you know about cars. Now, in the year 2005, it feels like we've finally entered the 21st century. Stomp down on the gas all you want. The engine won't make a sound. At first, I felt like the landscape was moving past me on its own. Give it a few more years, and I'm sure we'll start seeing cars that run purely on electricity. Who knows? In a decade or so, electric sports cars may end up lining the parking lots of Silicon Valley. I can see it now. It's the world of The Last Starfighter, 1984, directed by Nick Castle. It's famous for being the first film to utilize realistic CG, but I couldn't care less about that. See, I was mesmerized by the beautifully refined mech designs. It even made me wish that I could be one of them myself, especially the Gunstar spacecraft. No other sci-fi movie has ever had... Sorry, I got off topic. I noticed it was missing after I finished my lunch and walked out of the diner. Incidentally, this diner was located at the entrance to a small town just south off the I-10. I went out to get back in it, but my hybrid car was nowhere to be found. I remembered exactly where I'd parked it, right between a blue pickup truck and a hedgerow, but when I came back from lunch, it had completely vanished. In short, someone stole it, and in its place, they left me this. A skateboard. Yes. While I was sliding my lunch into my stomach, someone was busy replacing my brand new hybrid car with a wooden board attached to 4 wheels. Remarkable, don't you think? By riding the skateboard, obviously. Why do you look so surprised? No, I couldn't ride the board very well at first, but by the time I hit the 3-mile mark, I'd more or less gotten the hang of it. By the 10-mile mark, I'd even learned to do a few tricks. It was a journey of self-discovery. Not even I knew I had this latent talent sleeping inside me. The Elise Clarkson case needs us. Don't you think so, Zach? The cat people are what guided us to New Orleans. We should be thanking Malcolm McDowell. Once we get home, let's watch Blue Thunder again. I'm already looking forward to it. Aren't you, Zach? Zach, the searing light. These scents. It's the deep South. That was a fabulous breakfast. You're the world's greatest chef. The tea was to die for, but I'd prefer coffee next time. What would a morning be without coffee? Sang Rouge. We've been chasing it all over America, but I feel like we're finally on the verge of finding something now. Don't you, Zach? I think it's about time we ordered a new briefcase. Yes, I know this one carries a lot of memories, but it's seen too much. This hole's from the shootout in Tucson. And this stain's from Miami. Miami. Now that was a fascinating case. Billy, our perp, cut his own torso right in two, even with the help of the drugs. A feat like that still requires incredible mental fortitude. I was so impressed that I forgot I'd left my briefcase on the floor. Same floor his blood gushed out onto. I know, Zach, I know. Now isn't the time for a trip down memory lane. An emergent drug that's been on the rise in 4 southern states. Personally, I think it originated right here in Louisiana. And Elise Clarkson's murder must be connected to it somehow. The 16-year-old girl who was murdered. Her body was found beneath a bridge over the bayou, along with a strange altar. The powerful man who essentially controls the town of Lucare, and he seems to be more fearsome than your average gangster. I doubt he'll be willing to cooperate with any law enforcement, Zach. You know, I keep thinking about that movie we stopped to see on our way here, Zach. The Island. 2005, directed by Michael Bay. For a movie being shown at a cinema complex, it was surprisingly artistic. An experimental setting mixed with hard-hitting drama. It was art house sci-fi. That director's going to change the history of art house films. Are you following me here? This is another special film that's setting a new standard, just like Star Wars and Blade Runner did. This is a turning point, Zach. You may be witnessing the birth of a vital new word that will soon become a part of film history. Yes, this single movie may be responsible for creating a whole new genre several years down the line, a genre known as island movies. I sure like the sound of that. Don't you, Zach? Hey there, chef. What's cooking? Yes, I've gathered that lucare is French, but does it have any special meaning? Yes, I would. Ah. And that's it? Did you see that, Zach? That was clearly David, not a twin, not a split personality, just the work of a true professional. It's bizarre, but I can understand it. Remember what they say, the job makes the man. Do you feel that, Zach? Dozens of paintings no one will ever see. The faint scent of tobacco baked into these walls for over a century. Now that's what I call a hotel. Zach, can you see him? His fashion sense is beyond me, but he appears to be a gentleman. Perhaps we should talk to him. Nice tie. Did you buy it here? They can see what's far in the distance, but are blind to what's in front of them. No, maybe they're only pretending not to see. That's what civilized society does to people. Zoomed away from what? Hungan, the title given to a leader in a certain religion. Is that what you are? The Oracle. Put on your religion hat, Zach. Here we go. 10 maidens and an ambiguous 0. Got it. But what do you mean by otherworld? Zach, did you hear all that? Looks like we've already taken our first step into chaos. But such is our duty. We need to accept the chaos, let it inside, then carefully dismantle it piece by piece. And after we've put all the pieces back into their rightful places, the truth will reveal itself. Let's capture the truth and present it with a shiny pair of silver bracelets, Zach. Zach, what did you think of Hungan's oracle? Despite all the dramatic build-up, it's little more than a childish riddle. Heartwarming, really. Exactly the kind of feeling one gets from the good old-fashioned countryside. Now let's start by tracking down those 10 maidens. The oracle gave us a place and an act. We need to go to the Shrine of Hunger and fell 10 maidens. Now where in this town can one satiate their hunger? The hotel and... where? And the 10 things that need to be knocked down. Simple, right? The answer is bowling. The shape of the bowling pin was based on the feminine form. The 10 maidens are the 10 pins, but a place where someone can both eat and bowl at the same time. I'm skeptical as to whether we'll be able to find such a place in a backwoods town like this. Very funny, Zach. How do you expect us to get a strike in a place like that? Now it's time to get serious. You already know the answer, don't you? The 10 maidens are the 10 pins, which means we need to bowl ourselves a strike. Now, where on this map can we find a bowling alley? Alexis's Diner and Lane. This is it, Zach. There are even pins and a bowling ball on the sign. I bet we'll be able to eat some Cajun cuisine and bowl there. Maybe even both at the same time. Nice job, Zach. I knew you'd be able to find it. Now for the other oracle. There's no Flying Serpent on this map. Could it be a contrail or perhaps a dragon? I'm sure we'll find out later. First, let's just figure out where we need to go. Do you know what the ambiguous 0 represents? 0 is usually treated as a base number, but under what conditions would a base number be ambiguous? The answer is temperature, Zach. Yes. 0 degrees Fahrenheit is minus 17.7 degrees Celsius, and 0 degrees Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more ambiguous 0 than that. The question is, does our 0 refer to Celsius or Fahrenheit? Let's think for a moment. We're in Louisiana. Which measurement system do we use here in America? Wrong, Zach. We need to find a location that's connected to temperature somehow. Although in this blistering heat, I suppose you could say that everywhere is connected in some way or another. We need to focus on the 0. 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Somewhere that would be in the minus in Celsius. You've already figured it out, haven't you, Zach? Not quite, Zach. We need to find a place with a temperature of 0 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 17.7 degrees Celsius, and there's only one location here that fits the bill. Considering the oppressive humidity in this town, it would have to be a rather large facility. The Clarkson Food Delivery Services Cold Storage Warehouse. That's got to be it. Even with this blazing sun in the sky, they can easily keep the temperature below freezing. Be honest now, Zach. You knew the answer from the very start, didn't you? Zach, this is lucare. I think I'm finally starting to understand what our concierge was trying to say. You can tell this town was built by a very methodical person. No, wait. Maybe they just didn't care, and that's why it ended up this way. It's just another symbol of mankind's obsession with molding nature to fit our own rules. And how about that Hungan? What a mysterious character. His oracles may end up determining how much time we spend in this town. Don't tell me. You're the bellboy. Are you good friends with the concierge and the chef? I believe we've struck gold here, Zach. It just screams Deep South. Actually, no, it doesn't. This is all his charm. So, if I want to smoke, I Should go out the entrance and around to the rear parking lot? Okay. I'll play by your rules. The risk of death from lung cancer is actually much lower than what you think it is. In fact, it's tiny when compared to heart disease, strokes, and pneumonia. We're always surrounded by easy ways to die, you know. Some people even get randomly struck by lightning and die right there on the spot. Of course. FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, just call me York. That's what everyone calls me. Just as I thought, Zach. This contract paper, it's a Sang Rouge wrapper. Sang Rouge is here, too. This must mean that Sang Rouge is connected to the Elise Clarkson murder case somehow. This is a sprawling case that's spread across the entire South. It's within our jurisdiction, Zach. We'll need to steal the right to investigate from the local authorities at once. By the way, miss, what's your name? Tell me, Patricia, does this town have a sheriff? Or is it under the jurisdiction of the nearest city police? Thank you for the information, Patricia. Okay, Zach. It's time to get to work. How should we seize control from the sheriff this time? FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan, but call me York if you can. That's what everyone calls me. Fine by me. Zach, it looks like this sheriff is quite the happy-go-lucky type. A clear indication of just how peaceful this town is. Melvin, about the Elise Clarkson case. The Elise Clarkson case is connected to a top-secret case that we've been... Well, Zach, that was anticlimactic. I didn't even get to use my secret weapon. Melvin, there's a cold storage warehouse on the southern end of town, isn't there? I'd like to get permission to enter it. That's incredible. I don't believe this. Amazing. Did you hear that, Zach? They put the body in a cold storage warehouse. This is fantastic. Insanely fantastic. Sounds good. I've arrested people who've done both, but I've never engaged in either of those activities myself. Of course, I have imagined doing such things in order to learn more about the psychology of the criminals I deal with. Do whatever you like. This is America, land of the free, but I have one condition. Don't ask me about Zach. It's a private matter. Zach, it feels like she's carrying something with her. Kind of reminds me of you back when we first met. I can't leave her alone like this. You feel the same way, don't you? Melvin called you a strange name. CLG, I think. What exactly does that mean? Patty? Now that name's got a ring to it. I like it. How about Zach and I call you Patty from here on out? Well, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to talk to Zach. We're also on a mission to fell 10 maidens, you see. I'm eager to visit Alexis's diner in Lane, but we've only just arrived in this town, so it might be nice to stroll around a bit. Patty, you're still just a child. Why do you worry so much? We're born to be free, and this is America, land of the free. You should always feel free to do whatever you want. Isn't that right, Zach? I was on vacation in New Orleans before I happened to stop by here. Yeah, that's it. Nice work. Bullseye. Well done, Zach. Oh. That was a close one. Aim carefully now. I know you can do it. Just stay calm. Interesting discovery. Zach, what are you trying to do? For a non-lethal weapon, Mr. Alligator packs quite the power. I think I'm starting to like him, Zach. I'm sure we'll be able to count on Mr. Alligator when we truly need him. Now this is an intriguing weapon. For a tranquilizer gun, it really packs a punch. But I'm afraid I'll decline. After all, this town is peaceful, isn't it? Actually, Patricia, you're wrong. Alligators do attack people. And it could happen in any town. Alligator, 1980. Directed by Louis Teague. It takes place in the Midwest, I believe. A teenage girl's pet alligator gets flushed down the toilet. Then, in the sewer, it feeds on the corpses of dogs that were used as test subjects for an experimental growth formula. After growing over 30 feet, it finally starts to go after humans. It's an extremely edifying movie. Back when I first saw it, I had a pet hamster. Well said, Patricia. I nearly lost sight of my true goal. Melvin, I couldn't help but notice the name on the side of that truck. This facility is connected to the victim, isn't it? I see. So that's what led to the ingenious choice to store the victim's body in a facility that her family owns. Missing. Did you leave the warehouse unlocked? So, in other words... this is a locked room mystery. No, thank you. This is what I came to investigate. That doesn't bother me one bit, Melvin. You see, I met a skeletal gentleman on my way here, and he was kind enough to give me an oracle. Zach, this is the ambiguous zero. The deep freeze. Let's hurry up and find that flying serpent, shall we? Of course, Melvin. The skeletal gentleman gave me an oracle, remember? Sorry, Melvin, but I'm dead serious. Yes, it's quite the funhouse. Truly a dazzling place. Meet entertainment. That's the only way to describe it. Woven together by life, frozen in time, a visceral, musical, yes, truly a symphony. Life and death, resonating together. At first, Zach, I was shocked by the notion of storing a victim's body alongside food, but
As I gaze upon this hanging garden, I realize it's just another scene of violent, depraved murder. Yes. All we need to do is change our point of view, and things will expose themselves in utterly new ways. Melvin, if you have something to say, then just go on and say it. Otherwise, you'll simply be insulting this beautiful landscape. Oh, yes. It's the abnormal world that supports our normal lives. I think that's wonderful. Don't you? Besides, look, Patricia seems to be handling this a lot better than you are. Something I'm afraid of? Clowns are so funny. How could anyone be scared of them? Love them. I could squeeze them with my bare hands. Doesn't bother me. Melvin, you're a genius. Melvin, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you a personal question. In the hotel parking lot, when I first met you, the picture you had on your dashboard happened to catch my eye. Was that your wife? You always keep her photo with you? I see. You care for your wife a great deal. But this means that, well, Zach, isn't this a heartwarming scene? But there's one thing I just can't get out of my mind. Don't you think that photograph looked a bit too old? Perhaps Candy is already... No, let's not think about that. It might be a private matter, just like you, Zach. You don't need to keep correcting yourself, Melvin. Still, rephrasing your sentences won't fix anything at this point. It's a shallow concern, really. Here we are, Zach. The morgue. They stored the victim's body in a cold storage warehouse operated by her family. I'd love to shake the hand of whoever came up with that one. Sorry, you're right. I went a bit too far just now, but don't misunderstand. I honestly think it's a fantastic idea. I'd never try and bully your daddy. Thank you for understanding. Zach, these are human footprints, and they're extremely large. Yes, Zach, I agree. These footprints must belong to someone who's used to walking around in cold temperatures. Zach, can you see that? Look closely. That's right. There are 4 imprints in the frost on the top of this. It's hard to believe, but I think these are fingerprints. Yes, Zach, that would lead one to believe that the body napper is a giant who's over 10 feet tall. This frost is shaped like something we're very used to seeing. That's right. A body bag. Lisa's body must have been left here, but there are no signs that the bag was dragged away, so our criminal must possess monstrous strength. These pallets are a mess. Looks like this area isn't used often. Still, the idea to store a body here, it's a novel, sophisticated idea unlike anything I'd ever come up with. Forgotten boxes. Looks like shelled headless shrimp. When were these boxes brought here? And when will they be taken away? Zach, can you feel it? The perpetual, unstoppable flow of time. Boxes that got left behind. I can't tell what's inside. What do you think, Zach? I'm going to go with okra. Yeah, okra. I'm sure it must be okra. That's a staple of the South. Boxes of the past or presents of the future. Either way, this is a curious time capsule, so they did block it off. Yet, Lisa's body was still carried away somehow. This tape is serving absolutely no purpose, aside from showing everyone else exactly where the body is. An icicle. Never thought I'd see one of these down in the South. Look at the thermometer, Zach. It's at 10 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 12.2 degrees Celsius. This must not be the ambiguous 0. Seems like our Flying Serpent isn't here. Is this everything, Melvin? There aren't any other rooms in this warehouse? No special rooms. Luxury foods. Why didn't you say so earlier? Let's head there at once. I'm sure that must be where we're meant to go. All we need to do is find a 10-foot-tall man with monstrous strength. That giant knows where she is. But finding the Flying Serpent is more important right now. Now please, guide me to the luxury foods warehouse at once. These luxury foods are most likely being used in local Cajun cuisine. I'm so excited to see what we'll find. Aren't you, Zach? Do you have one? Well then, would you go and get one now? What should we do then? And what am I supposed to do? Just stand here and pretend like nothing's happening? Zach, I think we can move this. Better check back here as well, just to be on the safe side. Zach, the human ability to adapt is a frightening thing. Some humans have the power to sleep anywhere as long as they set their minds to it. Now we should be able to operate the elevator. No need to worry. This facility no longer has a body to steal. What else do they have to lose? A few cans of crawfish? I feel bad for him, but it's for the sake of the investigation. I'll write him a letter of apology later. You bet. Let's sally forth, Melvin. Zach, look at that thermometer. 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Or minus 17.7 degrees Celsius. This is the ambiguous 0. I disagree, Melvin. Time may be on our side, but that doesn't mean we should waste it. You gave me Mr. Alligator precisely for moments like these, didn't you? Of course, Melvin. I never said I was going to shoot him. Hi, Avery. I'm Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, call me York. I see. So you're this area's keeper. Research. What are you talking about, Avery?
This doesn't look like a lab to me. No, as far as I can tell, he's just a bit over 6'5". The one who moved Lisa's body must be at least 10 feet tall. He's clearly too short. Avery, that's not Lise. This is Melvin's daughter. And my precious assistant. Unfortunately, Elise is no longer with us. Melvin, I think you're finally starting to catch on. Come on, Zach. Let's go find that flying serpent. There are torn-off claws and legs scattered all over the ground. I doubt they'll fly anytime soon. I can't tell which ones are from crawfish and which parts are from shrimp. How about you, Zach? Frozen oysters. Personally, I'd rather have a cocktail filled with fresh ones. We hunt for more materials than we can eat and freeze them over long periods of time. The human race gives terror a whole new meaning. Hung alligators. I suppose in a way they sort of look like flying serpents, but that's pushing it. Remember, we're in a dark basement here. They'll never reach the sky. Andouille. Now here's some real Cajun cuisine. The way these sausages are linked up, they almost look like a serpent, but it's hard to imagine them flying. Let's move on, Zach. Cans of Holy Trinity paste. Onions, bell peppers, and celery. The absolute basics for any Cajun dish. This product combines them all into some sort of paste. People actually buy this garbage? Even the name sounds idiotic. Zach, I just made an eternal promise with myself. If I ever happen to come across any food prepared with this paste, I vow to never call it Cajun food. Avery, this box looks special. Melvin, is this the Clarksons' family crest? Is that so? Zach, this dragonfly is our flying serpent. The flying serpent owns this town. They're related to Lise Clarkson, our victim, and Hungan's oracle pointed us toward their family crest. The Clarksons must be deeply intertwined with this case. Melvin, Patricia, I think I've had enough of this frozen world. Let's head back out to that merciless sun. Well, what are you waiting for? I can't bear to spend another second down here. Zach and I will take things from here. Tend to your sick wife? I don't know. You're free to do as you please. I'll stop by the sheriff's office when I need your help again. Not a bad idea. Just be careful that you don't get attacked by a barefooted giant. Melvin, don't be silly. Of course I do. Just when I thought you were starting to catch on. Disappointing, to say the least. Proof number 1. The footprints that led up to where Lisa's body originally was were made with bare feet. None of the prints looked similar to those of common insulated boots, and the arches of the feet were visible. The person who carried out Lisa's body must have had very large feet. I'd say they were at least 16 inches. Proof number 2. I found fingerprints on the cord of one of the hanging lights in the warehouse. The fingerprints weren't aimed up from below. They were coming directly from the side. Clearly, the giant moved the light because it was in his way. He pinched the cord with his fingers. Proof number 3. There was nothing else found in the vicinity where Lisa's body was stored. This means the giant carried her out without dragging her across the floor. But there's only one set of footprints. The only conclusion I can draw from this evidence is that a barefooted giant, standing over 10 feet tall, carried Lisa's body out. That concludes the entirety of my proof. Any objections, Melvin? Have you seen every human alive with your own eyes? Well then, you need to forget all your preconceived notions when embarking on an investigation. Whether you come face to face with a 10-foot giant or a skeletal gentleman, you always need to accept everything that comes to you with a clear mind. Do that, and eventually the truth will reveal itself to you. You're a smart kid, I'm sure you understand. That's it, Melvin. I'm glad you finally caught on. Okay. Time to go, Patty. You know this town well, so I'd like you to accompany me from now on. Zach, we found the Flying Serpent. Now we simply need to locate the 10 maidens. It's time to head on to Alexis's diner and lane. Patty, is something wrong? Professor R. How do you know that? Because, huh? Interesting. Oh, you got here ahead of me. San Rouge. How do you know about that? Come to think of it, you're right. I did mention it. Right in front of you, and you remembered it. Professor R. How do you know that? Because, huh? Interesting. 10 maidens, Zach. Let's topple their hourglass figures and complete this oracle once and for all. I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, call me York. Everyone's always called me that. Alexis, are these photos of the town? Zach, did you hear that? The good old days. Even in a remote town that's already far behind the times, there are still people who yearn for the past. What? What kind of fellow? How tall? Did that ring any bells for you? I don't think so, Alexis. Lise said the shadow was following her, correct? That means she must have been stalked by a man as tall as an oak tree. If she had only mistaken an oak tree for a person, she wouldn't have described it that way. She might have said, yes. Exactly. She certainly wouldn't have talked about being followed by someone. Thank you, Patty. Zach, this data is all very intriguing. but it isn't the answer we're looking for. We came to knock down the 10 maidens, remember? Truly mesmerizing, Zach. This is why I never tire of small-town investigations. Same goes for you, right, Patty? That's exactly what I came to do. You see, Zach and I need to bull down 10 maidens. What's the most addictive drug in the world? It's sugar, Patty. Far more people die from obesity and diabetes than from cocaine and heroin. Alexis, would you give her some milk? Actually, Patty, I do. We signed a contract, remember? I promised to protect you from all the evil in our world. Delicious. What an amazing chocolate sundae. Zach, I think we just uncovered an incredible treasure here. I feel like I could eat one of these every day while we're in this town. Don't worry, Patty. I'll knock down those 10 maidens in the blink of an eye. You just wait here and drink your milk. You're free to go home when you like. Zach and I won't mind one bit. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Would you mind calling me York, ma'am? It's her routine, Zach. Understand? Just like us and coffee. Incidentally, ma'am, would you mind letting me use this lane too? I'm investigating the Elise Clarkson murder case, and I need to topple 10 maidens, no matter what it takes. But, Zach, it looks like negotiations have failed. Now I'm afraid we have no choice but to force her to let us use her bowling lane. Yes, I know. I won't do anything illegal. Excuse me, Mrs. Carpenter. Zach, our new friend, appears to be a very superstitious lady. We should try and utilize this trait of hers in order to gain access to the lane for a bit. That was an amazing shot, Mrs. Carpenter. In fact, it may have been the most amazing shot I've ever seen. Speaking of which, where did you happen to find all those neat little items? The ones you used to help you bowl that split just now. Oh, yes. A great liking. Erzuli Frida, the mirror. Zach, this is it. Erzuli Frida. There must be a treasure trove of dubious trinkets on sale there. We may even be able to find something capable of changing her mind. It really feels like we're in the deep south now, doesn't it? Excuse me, Mrs. Carpenter. Zach, we should stop trying to change Mrs. Carpenter's mind on our own. It's time to visit Erzuli Frida. I'm sure we'll find something there that can turn the tables for us. Yes, I did. No, Patty, neither Zach nor I have given up on anything. We're just going to stop by Erzuli Frida. What do you know about it, Patty? And why is that? You mean Erzuli Frida is a gun shop? A voodoo shop? Thank you, Patty. You just helped me make up my mind. We're going to use the power of voodoo to help us steal the right to use that lane. Looks like we got here first, Zach. Now, I think it's about time we felled the 10 maidens. Oh! Zach, this won't be easy. We need to figure out a way to stop her in her tracks, or we'll never get a shot at felling the 10 maidens. A voodoo shop. It's a voodoo shop. Of course it does, Patty. You're much too young to understand the true value of such a place. Hello, Patty. Sorry for the wait. And yet here you are. Sometimes things just work out like that. Right, Zach? Look at this, Zach. All the mysticism of the Deep South gathered up into one quaint little shop. This is 100 times more exciting than the FBI evidence vault. It's a vast treasure chest. So much to study, so much to learn. I disagree, Patty. This person can be trusted. I've been studying people for quite a while, so I can tell. That figurine is connected to our future. The FBI's been having budget problems lately. Is there any way we could make some kind of trade? Materials. I'll buy it. Marvelous, isn't it, Zach? What a treasure. I can't wait to use it. Isn't it obvious, Patty? I'm going to put it in front of Mrs. Carpenter's house. Yes. I'm sure this figurine will stop her right in her tracks, and that'll give us a chance to finally topple the 10 maidens. Of course I am. And so is Zach. Aren't you? Whoa. Got a moment? I won't take up too much of your time. I'd just like to ask you a few questions. Patty, who was that? Zach. We've found ourselves a Clarkson. One of the key persons in this case just came out of the woodwork to meet us. Now things are really getting interesting. Isn't that right, Zach? Bad timing, Zach. We need to place the figurine in front of her house when she's home. Otherwise, it'll be useless. Let's come back later. Yes. Perfect. Oh, this? This is all part of the Elise Clarkson murder investigation. Oh, yes. Very important. I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please call me York. That's what everyone calls me. But what should I call you? And what business does a pastor like yourself have in a place like this? Do you have an intimate relationship with Mrs. Carpenter? So you've been spying on her out of pity? Zach, did you hear that? Pitiful. Try saying that to someone in the city. They'd instantly slap you with slander or defamation charges. You'd be up to your neck in court papers. I doubt I'll tire of this town anytime soon. We should consider stopping by that church whenever we get a chance. Perfect results, Zach. Time for us to go bowl down the 10 maidens while she's busy with this. It worked like a charm, Patty. Mrs. Carpenter is nowhere to be seen. Now's our chance to topple the 10 maidens, Zach. Sorry for the wait, Patty. Is Mrs. Carpenter here? Everything's going according to plan. It's time to knock down the 10 maidens, Zach. What's wrong? She's fine. You have my guarantee. What did I tell you, Patty? Value is a relative thing. We needed to find that figurine, no matter the cost. Wrong, Patty. I have absolutely no interest in bowling. Tossing a heavy ball at lined-up pins? Where's the fun in that? You can't even call this a sport. It's a game for cavemen. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Absolutely not, Patty. This is part of the investigation. I need to do this myself, no matter how stupid it may be. So far, so good. That's it. Curve. Curve. What a beautiful stance. I think you may be a bowling genius, Zach. Unfortunate. Take deep breaths and calm down. It's only bowling. Just a game, Zach. Maybe if you gave it a little curve... No, forget what I said, Zach. I don't think that's a very good idea. I wonder who invented bowling. Well, I suppose that won't help us now. Hey, Zach, did you know that they used to have bowling lanes in churches? This isn't going well, Zach. Perhaps we need a change of pace. Let's try doing something else. You know, I'll always agree with you no matter what choice you make. Time to continue our battle, Zach. Let's topple the 10 maidens before Mrs. Carpenter returns. That was just a stroke of luck, Mrs. Carpenter. Despite how I may seem, I've never been any good at any of the ball-based sports that exist here on our planet. Semi-pro? Not pro, but semi-pro. I could actually go semi-pro? Patricia, I can understand why you'd be envious of my talents, but you don't need to worry. You have your own unique talents, just like any other person. You shouldn't have to feel inferior every time you look at me. It's so strange, Zach. I feel like I'm discovering a new side to myself. Red powder. Galena. Zach. The jazz bar. We first heard about it from Patricia. It must be deeply connected with this case and the red powder. It must be San Rouge. Following the oracle and felling the 10 maidens sure paid off, didn't it? Yes, Mrs. Carpenter. Thanks to you, I've gotten a new lead. Felling the 10 maidens proved to be a more difficult task than it seems, Zach. Next up is the ambiguous zero. Let's head to the cold storage warehouse and catch that flying serpent. Zach, it's another oracle. It appears that we're being guided by a mysterious power. This oracle is a simple one. The false altar. You already know what this is, right? The place where Elise Clarkson's body was first discovered. She was found under a bridge at some sort of altar as if she was being worshipped. That's what Chef David said, right? When the sun awakens refers to dawn, of course, and the tip of the baby bear's tail is the North Star. At dawn, look straight to the north from where Lisa's body was found. On the surface, this oracle may seem tricky and convoluted, but it's still mere child's play. Pathetic. Zach, let's follow the oracle and head to where Lisa's body was found. I don't know what otherworld refers to, but I'm sure we'll find out once we get there. That's right, Patty. This case is a rather complicated one, so Zach and I are following oracles given to us by a skeletal gentleman in order to crack it. This is DC Eagle. I read you loud and clear. Over. There's no point in using code names if he's just going to say my real name. DC Eagle to Lucare Tiger. Is something wrong? Over. Roger Wilco. Go right ahead. Over. Lisa's mother. You're referring to Galena, the social butterfly? Over. Yes, Melvin, I agree. There's no need for us to cling to formalities. Patty, do you think Galena is really as beautiful as people say? Who's more beautiful? Galena or your mother? Candy Woods. Your mother. Melvin said she was the prettiest girl in town. Why is it stupid? Zach, that was a bad move. We stepped right into a private matter without any shoes on. But these things are bound to happen. After all, I'm a special agent of the FBI. And there isn't an organization out there that's more well-versed in the art of infringing on people's privacy. And who might you be? I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, call me York. What kind of business are we talking about here? Seems a bit strange to call it a new type of business then. How? Is that legal? Why not invite me to use your site then? Why are you out here driving around? Zach, that was quite the spiel, wasn't it? This seems like little more than a scheme to make some pocket change from carpooling. What's new about that? Although it will be a bit hard for us to keep investigating here for days with nothing but a skateboard. What do you think? Should we accept her offer? Sure thing. Why did the perpetrator decide to enshrine Lisa's body here? Remember this, Zach? Stone skipping. We did it all the time when we were kids. For some reason, I could never beat you. But I feel like I've got what it takes to win now. What do you say? Shall we take a trip down memory lane? Zach, the first imperative of stone skipping is choosing the proper type of stone. It needs to be flat and smooth. the kind of stone that lends itself to a natural spin. Then one should hold the flat stone so that it's balanced on one's pointer finger. A well-aimed underarm throw should give the stone all the spin it needs. This spin will create an explosion of repulsive force the moment the stone makes contact with the water's surface. That's the basic method people use to make their crazy world records. This sure brings back memories. Not bad, Zach. That was just as fun as when we were kids. Hey, what's that? No wonder the word Mississippi means father of waters. It has the power to carry boats down the tiniest of tributaries. It's one of the prime symbols of America's majesty and the vitality of the human race. Now about that boat. What sort of cargo would give it such a deep draft? What else do you see, Zach? I saw it clearly, if only for a second. The Dragonfly Crest. This town never wants to stop reminding us about the Clarksons. Hey, Zach. Do you remember the oracle? When the sun awakens, catch the tip of the baby bear's tail at the false altar, and the entrance to the other world will reveal itself to you. In other words, we need to go to where Elise was found and look north at dawn. I wonder what we'll see. It's a skull, Zach. As clear as day. That's the spot. The barrier between our world and the other world. One might call it a singularity. Now, what do you say we go inspect that cabin? Oh, I'm sorry, Patty. You just missed a special moment. You can't see it? There you have it, Zach. Patty, Zach and I will take it from here. In the meantime, you need to head home and wait for us. Yes, but only for a while. Once I make some progress, I'll contact you again. Also, would you mind telling Melvin that I'm heading to the sugarcane plantation? I'm sure we'll need his help later. You'll be fine. You made it this far alone, didn't you? Are you angry with me, Patty? Oh, good. In that case, please return home at once. Look, Zach. We're about to encounter a new character. You won't be able to find the other world. I'd like to ask you the same. I see. Well, if you don't want to tell me, then I have no choice but to guess. You just said this is our plantation. I assume that means you're a member of the Clarkson family, and you're here looking for someone. If there's a search being conducted on Clarkson property, it must be a search for Galena Clarkson, who's gone missing. Judging from the way you speak, your age, and most of all the color of your eyes, you must be Danny Clarkson, the father of the victim, Galena's husband, and the manager of the cold storage warehouse. Nice to meet you. I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. I'm here investigating the Elise Clarkson case. Oh, and just call me York. That's what everyone's always called me. Your daughter was taken from you, and now your wife has gone missing. No words can describe what you're going through. I imagine you're doing everything you can, searching every last nook and cranny all over town. But, Danny, listen to me. It won't get you anywhere. No matter how hard you search, you'll never find them. Absolutely not. I simply wish to solve this case. I am. That's why I'm here. The oracle told me there's something in this spot. That's right. Zach and I are following oracles given to us by a skeletal gentleman. If you wish to find the person who killed your daughter, you should cooperate. I imagine that not even the Clarksons want to start a feud with a federal power. Does this mean you're ready to cooperate? May I enter the building? Zach, it appears that the Clarksons have no idea where Galena is either, and judging from Danny's demeanor, the family must be in the midst of their own complications. This case may require more work than we think. Zach, Danny married into this family, didn't he? Yet he's acting like he's a full-blooded Clarkson. I'm surprised, really. That was the most unexpected aspect of our encounter. After all, he's only the son-in-law. What do you think, Zach? This is it, Zach. A deadly premonition. You know, for some reason, I'm getting butterflies. How about you? It's time we went and saw this other world for ourselves. Zach, I sense something here. Elise was murdered here. Let's take a closer look and find out exactly what went on. Zach, Lisa's limbs were severed while she was still alive, but she's smiling. She must not have been able to feel any pain. Sang Rouge isn't that powerful of a drug. At least it shouldn't be. And look, Zach, another dragonfly. The tattoo is just to the side of her navel. She always carried the mark of a Clarkson with her, wherever she went. Red powder. This must be Sang Rouge. But for some reason, it looks more vibrant than all the specimens we've gathered so far. Zach, the murder weapon was an axe. Elise must have been dismembered while she was still alive. And the woman holding the axe, flashy clothes, beautiful face, and that dragonfly ring, this must be Lisa's mother, Galena Clarkson. Look, Zach. She's crying. It's the polar opposite of Lisa's euphoric expression. Galena is brandishing an axe while tears stream down her face. What was going on in her head? Zach, there's a tall woman here, very stylish. She'd stick out like a sore thumb in this town. Is she watching the murder? No. She's clearly more than an innocent spectator. She must be deeply entwined with this case somehow. Elise Clarkson was murdered here. After she died, she was carried to the spot underneath that bridge. Why did the killer feel the need to move her? Bodies are usually only moved to cover up evidence, but this is different. Lisa's body was enshrined. She was being shown off to someone. The ritual, the altar. A mother killing her child, a monstrous giant, and a mysterious, stylish woman. There's a real demon out there, and it's got its sights set on the Clarksons. But Zach, this is exactly the kind of case we FBI agents are here to solve. Isn't that right? Zach, this case is going to be a labyrinth. I certainly didn't expect to run into a monster like this. Honestly, I'm not one for violence, but I'm not just going to stand here and die. What do you think? Should we read off her rights? Galena, is this your true form? Gosh, Hollywood would have been all over you, although you probably would have been typecast as a gross monster. The kind that heroes always kill. Galena Clarkson, you are now under arrest on suspicion of the murder of Elise Clarkson and the illegal disposal of her corpse. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in a court of law. That's enough, Zach. She can't hear us anymore. Zach, pardon my language, but this case can go fuck itself. Melvin, this investigation has only just begun. This case is much more complicated than it seems. Of course. At the moment, I'm after a tall, stylish woman. Does that ring any bells? Zach and I saw her with our own eyes. We need to find her, I'm positive. Professor R? From the jazz bar? What is it, Melvin? Well, out with it. Don't let your 10-year-old daughter upstage you here, Sheriff. Yes, we've established that. I hear you loud and clear. Melvin, you're careless in every sense of the word, but I believe you operate on the side of good in most cases. With that in mind, I'm disappointed to see that you carry some prejudice with you. Is she the type to forbid customers from entering her jazz bar due to the color of their skin? Well then, case closed. Melvin, I think we should call it a day. I'm going to head back to my hotel and get some sleep. I also need to prepare a report to send back to the Bureau. Patty, thank you very much for assisting me in my investigation. I'll be counting on you again tomorrow. Oh, and Melvin, one more thing. You needn't worry about what to tell the Clarksons. I'm sure they already know that Galena's been arrested. After all, this is Lucare. Zach, let's go over our progress. We've got a complicated case on our hands this time, especially as far as the Clarksons' relationships go. But in a way, it's also a simple one. Understanding them on a deeper level is the most efficient way to uncover the truth behind all this. That's the one thing I'm sure of. Zach, let's start with the people who were closest to the victim. Elise Clarkson, the victim, is the granddaughter of the current head of the Clarkson family. Her mother is Galena, an ex-actress, and Lise clearly inherited her beauty. Except for her eyes, that is. Lisa's eye color matches that of her father's. Now, do you remember who Elise Clarkson's father is? Wrong, Zach. That's Lisa's grandfather, not her father. Go on. Think back and remember. Wrong. That's the town sheriff. He's also the father of Patricia Woods, our skilled assistant. Ready to give me a serious answer, Zach? That's right. Lisa's father is Danny Clarkson. His real name is Daniel E. Clarkson. He's from Florida and used to be the CEO of a talent agency. Danny struck the heart of Galena and successfully became a member of the esteemed Clarkson family. Despite being the son-in-law, he acts like he was born a Clarkson, but he's still just the son-in-law. Next comes what happened to Lise. According to Alexis, Lise said that the man was as tall as an oak tree. I believe that's the same 10-foot-tall giant who made the fingerprints we found in the cold storage warehouse. Now, what did this man do to Lise prior to her murder? No, that's not it, Zach. Lisa's mother, Galena, is the one who always took her to the jazz bar. I don't think our giant is that much of a gentleman. Are you trying to be funny, Zach? That's one of the instructional methods I use to educate Patricia. This may be the land of the free, but that doesn't mean we should let children eat as much sugar as they want. Yes, that's it, Zach. The man as tall as an oak tree followed Lise around and watched her. Despite his towering stature, he must have been rather shy. Or perhaps he was merely biding his time and planned to kidnap her from the very start. If that's the case, there should have been some evidence left at the scene of the crime. Zach, we're still missing some puzzle pieces. Speaking of the scene of the crime, I did some profiling in the plantation's control room. The truth it revealed to us was nauseating and horrific, but we need to touch upon it if we wish to proceed. Isn't that right, Zach? Who actually murdered Lise Clarkson? Time out, Zach. I was expecting you to give me a serious answer. If he really did kill Lise Clarkson, I wouldn't dare to touch another piece of his food. Don't make me imagine such a grotesque scenario, Zach. Zach, you've got to be kidding me.
She's too obsessed with bowling to care about killing people. Besides, she's a woman with a gentle heart who was even concerned about the poor young girl. It may sound like I'm preaching here, but I believe that people like her are the ones who make towns stronger. Yes, that's right. Lisa's own mother killed her while she was dreaming about some bizarre new world. This is by far the vilest and ugliest crime we've ever seen. The fact that Galena set up her daughter's body at an altar makes this case even more complicated. Remember, not a single sacrificial human murder has ever been proven and documented in all of American history. The real world is far more complex than what we see in films and video games, and sacrificing a human life for something else is no easy task. In conclusion, Zach, through our investigation, we found one character who sticks out more than anyone else. You know exactly who I'm thinking about, don't you? We'll need to have a word with her in the near future. Who's the stylish woman we saw during the profiling? Professor R. We haven't met her yet, but she's deeply intertwined with this case. Let's wait for the skeletal gentleman to guide us to her with an oracle. Well, Zach, what do you think? Isn't the Deep South something? The people here are just as warm as the weather, and the food is to die for. Might be nice to move down here after I retire. What, still too early to talk about that? You may be right. After all, this case has only just begun. The head and limbs were severed and lined up, according to the lines that were drawn with her blood, just like migratory birds flying systematically across the sky. Hey, Zach, what do you think this means? Severed roots? And how do you know about this? What does the V stand for, then? Latin. Intriguing, isn't it, Zach? There are no defense wounds on the corpse. In other words, Galena showed no signs of resistance when she was amputated. But, strangely enough, there are small traces of subcutaneous bleeding around the wounded areas. That's a vital reaction, which means she couldn't have been dead. Yes, that's right, Patty. Galena was amputated while she was still alive, and she never resisted. It certainly isn't impossible. For example, if she was put to sleep with a drug, or if she desired the amputation herself. How can you be sure of that, Melvin? Our world contains phenomena that could never be explained with logic. This is especially true for phenomena in which humans are involved. Do you really think all the facets of love and hate can be explained with logic? Zach, now we truly know just how deeply the Clarksons are involved with this. Patty, how long does it take to reach the Clarkson estate? Got it. Thank you, Patty. By the way, Melvin, no matter how accelerated Patty may be, don't you think she's still a bit too young to see something like this? For the record, I have no intent to instruct others on how to raise their children, but Galena killed her daughter, so her family cut ties with her. Do you really think that's what happened here, Zach? If this is truly the ritual that the Clarksons use to cut ties with someone, why would they go out of their way to do it here, in a holding cell? They could have easily done it after we released her. And judging from how Danny Clarkson was acting, I think it's clear that he really loved Galena. How could he accept this grotesque butchering, even if it was for the sake of the family? There's no point in ruminating on this. We should get back to the investigation. As long as we keep moving, the answer will inevitably fling itself straight at us. Yeah, that sounds right. And it looks like this Flying Serpent is a venomous one. Both sound marvelous. But let me check with Zach. Zach, it looks like he's hell-bent on leading us back into that other world. Oh, I will, Hoongun. There are only two types of things in our world. Things that should be resisted and things that should be accepted. And I believe this oracle is something to accept. Do you think we're crazy for believing everything that skeletal gentleman says? No, we're not crazy. Not one bit. This is our destiny, that's all. But I shouldn't need to explain that to you, Zach. The one who fired the pistol at heaven. Firing pistols at the sky might be a rather common occurrence for the South. Remember? Young Guns. 1988, directed by Christopher Kane. There's that great scene where Emilio Estevez keeps firing his Colt M1877 up at the sky. Oh, but that film took place in New Mexico, didn't it? And the Oracle probably isn't referring to a situation like that. It's got to be for some purpose other than an attack or a threat. Raising a pistol up to the sky, then slowly pulling the trigger, kind of sounds like the start to a race. Don't you agree, Zach? Unfortunately, Zach, you're wrong. We need to find someone who fired their pistol straight at the sky. Let's find a race starter. Pistols are often fired straight at the sky in order to signal the start to a race. Now try and juxtapose that with our case. Surely you must have figured out the answer to this by now, Zach. Bingo, Zach. We're currently running a race here, and the one who started this murder investigation is indeed the one who fired the pistol at heaven. In other words, the person who first discovered the body. According to the files, Lisa's body was discovered by Chuck Thompson, a crawfish farmer. He apparently works out of a fishing hut located in the marshes south of the bayou. Let's go pay him a visit. Who knows? We might even get to see some crawfish. What? Why isn't the murderer the one who started this race? Zach, this isn't like you.
Of course the murderer isn't the one who started the race. The murderer's running it. They're currently in first place, and they're breaking all the rules. Any more objections, Zach? Within the White Hall of Beds. This one is even easier. There are only a few establishments that have a whole hall's worth of beds, especially in a small town like this. I'm sure you've already got a pretty good idea about what the answer is, Zach. Beds all lined up. Only an amateur would hear that and think it must be referring to a brothel. I mean, come on. Who would ever use White Hall as a symbol for a bordello? No, a white house refers to the same place no matter what country you're in. Disinfectant, jars of medicine, and white smocks. That's right. It's a place where people dress in all white, and this town doesn't have any labs in it, which means there can only be one answer. You really think that's a White Hall? Sorry, but I have to disagree. There's a more obvious answer out there, a place that anyone would think of when they hear the words White Hall. Sorry, Zach, but you've made an error. I doubt that place houses any angels in white. We need to find a true White Hall, not simply an establishment that invites folks to sleep within its walls. A place with white angels, where those in white carry all the power. Please tell me you figured it out by now. You never disappoint me, Zach. It's a medical facility. They invite their patients into rooms full of beds where they're tended to by doctors and nurses clad in white. It's definitely a White Hall, where people are invited into beds. You always manage to impress me with your intuition. I'm really counting on you here, Zach, and I know I'll always be able to. Hello there, Patty. I'd never attempt such a thing. I was simply engaging in a battle of wits with Hoongan while I waited for you. Yes, the skeletal gentleman in the top hat. This is the way I work. That's not true. I always work together with Zach. And who might you be? Zach, I wasn't expecting to run into the final boss this early. You must be the head of the Clarkson family. P.J. Clarkson, and you've come to claim the body of Galena Clarkson, whose dismembered corpse was found early this morning. Is that correct? Where did you learn that Galena had been murdered? Zach and I just learned of the news ourselves. I see. So then you must also know about the severed roots ritual. I have a question for you, Philip. We suspect that Galena was murdered by someone from the Clarkson family. Have you given that possibility any consideration? Galena's death is nothing but a loss for the Clarkson family. They're phenomenal, Patty. So perfectly rural. Ominous statements, foul-mouthed insults. This town possesses a complicated system of communication that you just can't find in the city. Work-centric emails are so cold and lifeless. This is what true human connections feel like. Connections as visceral as blood itself. The last boss may have gotten the jump on us, Patty, but I didn't let him shake my resolve. I intend to obey the skeletal gentleman's oracles, and that's that. First, we should head to either the home of the person who discovered Lisa's body or to the town's medical facility. Well, Zach, what do you think? Okay, Zach, it's time to put our skills to the test. Well, Zach, it seems as if we've reached an impasse. I'm afraid we won't be able to proceed any further like this. Hello, Melvin. Sadly, my darling just gave out on me. Yes, that's right. My beloved skateboard. I know the chances are slim, but do you happen to know of any establishments in town that can repair skateboards? Please, I hope this doesn't offend you. Neither Zach nor I would ever dare to assume that a remote country town like this would have a skateboard shop in it. But perhaps you have at least one eccentric who likes to tinker with them in their spare time. Really, Emma, I owe you one, Melvin. Zach, I never thought we'd find our very own skateboard mentor out here in the sticks. Let's head straight to Emma. What is it, Zach? Why didn't I just ask the sheriff to tow away the old cars? But isn't it obvious? I want to overcome this obstacle using my own strength. In fact, I want to soar over it. Hi there. Are you Emma? Francis York Morgan. I'm an FBI special agent. Please call me York. That's what everyone calls me. Emma, I haven't come here to talk to you about Lise. Although I suppose it's sort of connected in a way. My darling is broken, and I need you to fix her. It's beautiful, Emma. Well, my car was stolen on my way here from Houston. So I switched over to my darling and rode her here instead. Emma, would you mind answering another crazy question for me? I want to use this board to soar, literally. Would you mind teaching me a trick that would allow me to do so? Isn't this cool, Zach? Wahoo! Ha! Awesome! Whoa! Watch out! Stay balanced. Zach, you need more momentum. I never thought of that. What do you think? Skateboarding isn't just a pastime. It's a culture. Know what I mean, Zach? We rode into town on this bad boy. It's time for us to show it who's boss. Yeah. Thank you, Emma. I only learned that new trick thanks to your guidance. Now I'm sure that Zach and I will be able to reach our destination without any trouble at all. Thank you for assisting in the investigation. Zach, did you see the expression on her face just now? She works hard to act cheerful, but she's yet another person who was hurt by the tragedy. Lisa's death is like wildfire, spreading embers of sadness throughout the entire town. Patty, there's no need to worry. Just hide behind me and you'll be fine. Sure thing, Patty. I don't intend to spend all day here. Chuck Thompson, You were the first person to find Lisa's body, correct? I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please, call me York. That's what everyone calls me. Chuck Thompson. May I have a word with you? I'm looking for the one who fired the pistol at heaven. Not at all. I was merely quoting the skeletal gentleman's oracle. I'm currently running a race around town thanks to you, who fired the starting shot. The murderer and I are competing to see who can cross the finish line first. Unfortunately, the murderer got a generous head start on me. If he gets away from me, I'll lose. But if I can catch up to him, then I'm sure I'll win. So please, Chuck, tell me, how did you find Lisa's body? Her body was hidden under a bridge on the bayou, very close to the Mississippi River. It's got to be at least a few miles away from your farm in this swamp, right? Then what were you doing out there? So you gave chase, which led you to Lisa's body. Where did the poachers go? Did you know Lise personally, Lenny? Philip mentioned something about his son leaving home. That must be Lenny. Did you know about that, Patty? By the way, Zach, do you remember what we saw when we were skipping stones? That boat with the Dragonfly Crest. Zach, no matter where we go in this town, we're constantly assaulted by information related to the Clarkson family. Just where is that skeletal gentleman trying to lead us? We successfully found the one who fired the pistol at heaven. Now we need to visit the White Hall of Beds. You know, Zach, it almost feels like we're orienteering here. Doesn't it remind you of our training in Quantico? A big pain in the butt? A huge pain in the butt? Why not? I think you have a point there, Patty. These days, we can neither determine death nor reproduce without the help of modern medicine. Yeah, our world's become quite an unnatural one. Oh, excuse me. Zach, it's her. The stylish woman who watched Lise die. Hi there, Pastor. Would you mind letting go of me? I'm in a bit of a hurry right now. What? No, neither Zach nor I taboo. Don't you mean the Holy Trinity? But Zach and I need to go after that stylish woman. Well, Zach, I don't know what to say. First an oracle, and now an order from God? Maybe this is the trial that will yield the ticket to the goddess. Either way, it looks like we have no choice but to gather the taboo trinity. I guess it just goes to show that small towns are always filled with the bizarre and unpredictable. Hey, Tyrone. Pastor, I suppose that even an FBI badge is powerless in the face of God. It's no use, Zach. We'll just have to go out and assemble the taboo trinity. No, Melvin. I've simply gotten myself tangled up in a little mess. Yes, apparently the Lord is starving, and I'm a lamb with no sense of direction. Alexis, would you mind keeping the red beans in the can? I'll pay the regular price, of course. They're for an offering, you see. Exactly. As you can see, I'm a pitiful lost lamb. Now I get it, Zach. This is nothing but a shameless fetch quest. Alexis, could I have some red beans and rice? Tradition, Zach. This is it. The Deep South. Louisiana. We need to obey tradition here and come back on Monday. Do you carry any canned goods here? Understood, Mirror. Well then, if you'll excuse me. How intriguing. Well then, where is the canned good I seek? I see. In a place where it can't be bought from a person. Got it, Mirror. Zach. It's in a vending machine. It appears that God wants us to go on a wild goose chase all around town. Zach. We finally found our can of spinach. Look, Zach, even this vending machine is managed by Clarkson Food Delivery Services. But who in their right mind would sell canned goods in a vending machine in the middle of nowhere? I only hope that it's not expired. Not a single can of spinach in sight, Zach. Let's try somewhere else. I think we've got the wrong vending machine. This vending machine does not carry what God seeks. Let's move on, Zach. Zach, we finally managed to assemble the taboo trinity, and it was certainly no small task. I just hope it rewards us with some data that will help us push this investigation forward. Come on. It's time to show that pastor the fruit of our labors. Okay, Pastor. I've brought you your taboo trinity. I'd like to exchange it for a ticket to the goddess. Are you kidding me? It looks like we'll need to work harder to get God's attention, Zach. Part of me just wants to say to hell with it and go have a smoke. You know, Patty, I just remembered something. When we met Philip in the sheriff's office, he mentioned your mother. What sort of history does Melvin have with the Clarksons? Zach, something isn't right here. I just hope the Clarksons don't have anything to do with her mother's illness. That's all I'm concerned about. Either way, the truth will reveal itself to us eventually, just like it always has. The thing is, I only came here to speak with you, not the Lord. I pity us too, Zach. This is pointless. We have no choice but to obey God's word whether we like it or not. Found it, Zach. An anaconda skin, and freshly shed from the looks of it. Now let's get a move on before we run into its former owner. What do you think God wants with something like this anyway? Hey, Zach, Remember this movie? 1997, directed by Luis Loza. Anaconda, the movie where the famous John Voight goes crazy with a rifle. Jennifer Lopez, Eric Stoltz, even Owen Wilson and Ice Cube were in it. Is that an all-star cast or what? The scene in the beginning where Danny Trejo climbs up a ladder with a pistol in one hand is a must-see. It stole my heart within the first 5 minutes. Okay, back to the real world. We're on an important mission right now, aren't we? About 3 years ago, I met a man who had a pair of anaconda skin shoes. He said they were a trophy from a snake he hunted and skinned all by himself. Could you kill something and then wear its skin? I couldn't. No thanks. I fail to see any difference between that and a crazed murderer who carries pieces of his victims home with him. There's our squirrel tail. I hope we can gather the rest of the materials this quickly. Honestly, we don't have the time to help God out with his heavenly errands. Certain countries consider squirrel tails to be wards against demonic powers. Apparently, the tails quiver whenever evil draws near. So when people go out on journeys, they always carry squirrel tails with them. The fresher the tail, the higher its price. Ripping a squirrel's tail off its corpse is an eye-opening experience, Zach. I don't care if God commanded us to do this. It's pure butchery. But we'll just have to live with it. After all, humans are wild at heart. Zach, I never knew that following oracles was such back-breaking work. I really needed this cigarette. I think I'm on the verge of losing my mind. Now we just need to find one pressed white Gora. He was very clear that it had to be pressed. Do they sell pressed flowers in stores here? I think I'm stumped, Zach. Perhaps we better go ask our well-informed concierge for help. Okay, Zach. Let's go talk to our concierge. It'd be impossible for us to find a white Gora all on our own in such a vast area. Hello there, concierge. Do you mind if I ask you a question? I'm in need of a pressed white Gora. Do you know of a store where I could find one? Correct. No, not yet. Got a minute, chef? Do you know where I might find a pressed white Gora? May I ask you a question? I need to find a pressed white Gora. Well, not exactly, but it's the will of God. Excellent, David. Way to cut right to the chase. Do you know where I might find one? What's the problem? That's perfect. Would you mind giving one to me? What do you mean? What spot? The bathroom. Well then, I'll just go and grab one from the bathroom. The white Gora, also known as the whirling butterfly. They certainly look just as beautiful as one. Never thought I'd ever have to pick a flower from a bathroom and deliver it to a church. But he left us no choice. Did he, Zach? God himself commanded us to carry out this very act. Therefore, I'm simply doing as I'm told. My own will has nothing to do with it. We never get to engage in adventures like these while living in the city, do we, Zach? No, the cases of the city are honestly quite boring. Who wants to fish through the garbage for a missing corpse's genitals, or chase a stray bullet that got lodged into a moving taxi? Talk about stupid. And usually it's all just a formality so that we can accuse a criminal who's been obviously guilty since day one. If I have to search for something, I'd much rather search for something out here. It's just so much more dramatic. This is the countryside, and it's sensational. You know what I mean, don't you, Zach? I sincerely hope this is the last of God's divine errands. He threw away all the Spam, the red beans, and the spinach. I don't believe this. All this time, he was only after the cans? Yes, Zach. As fragrant as a urinal cake. Special powers? Patty, I'm curious. Do you have an instrument, too? Zach, the pressed flower we took from the bathroom ended up coming straight back to us. Fear not, Patty. Our next stop is that stylish woman's house. Her name is Helena Doman, and apparently she lives in this town. You know her? That's true. No one told me. Verbally. By pure chance, Zach and I happened to acquire this. We picked it up from the ground while the pastor was busy crying. Patty, this is a prescription for a female hormone medication, which means this person is undergoing hormone treatment. Understand? It's the oracle. This is the ticket to the goddess that we were meant to find at the White Hall. I just remembered something that Melvin said to me in the holding cell. Professor R isn't exactly a normal woman, according to him. Now it all makes sense, Patty. Lena Doman is the stylish woman we've been searching for. Professor R, in the flesh. Yes, I'll be honest with you, Patty. Both Zach and I are extremely talented, so I hope you can trust us and continue working as our assistant. The address on the prescription led us to this house. Hi, Patty. Sorry to keep you waiting. Patty, why do you know so much about Professor R? But you're the first person in town who mentioned her name to me. You also knew about San Rouge, didn't you? And when I tried to ask you more about it back then, you gave me an evasive answer. You're my assistant, aren't you? If you are, then you need to tell me everything you know about this case. What? That's ridiculous. Why would I ever hate this town? Because one of its inhabitants is transgender? Why in the world would that make a difference to me? And here I'd assumed that ignorant way of thinking died out with the 20th century. I guess I really am an outsider after all. I thought that everyone was cooperating with my investigation. But it turns out they were all hiding key information from me. Damn it, Zach. This just made me hate the countryside for the first time in my entire life. Oh, I'm sorry for being so loud, Patricia, but just remember this. Person's birthplace, nature, race, and physical features have no bearing on their value as a human being. We're always free, and we should respect each other just the way we are. So you shouldn't feel a need to hate Lena for no reason, no matter what the people around you say. You can't let them control you. Sometimes things like common sense and decency can end up deeply hurting other people. I sincerely hope you don't forget that. But if Lena's committed a crime, that's a different story altogether. She may be a social minority, but she's still free and capable of knowing the difference between right and wrong. Professor R, I sincerely hope she's smart enough to understand that. We acquired the ticket to the goddess at the White Hall of Beds. We're doing very well, Zach. Next, we should go and find the one who fired the pistol at Heaven. I'm sure the skeletal gentleman is stupefied by how well we're doing. Zach, did you hear that? It's another oracle. I assume this means we're getting closer to the truth. Well, this is good. We don't have any other big clues at the moment. What do you say we continue the skeletal gentleman's game? After I spent the 90s listening to nothing but punk rock, I fell out of touch with music. But the digital audio player I received last Christmas changed everything. Nowadays, people can walk around with thousands of songs in their pockets. You following me here, Zach? That's right. This oracle is connected to music. The two N's refer to neither periods nor a movie's credits. They refer to the last letter of the alphabet. Z. And what's a word that has two Z's in it? Jazz, of course. Remember, we're in Louisiana here. The firewater is even easier. It's alcohol. Let's go to that jazz bar and have a drink while we consider our next plan of action. Don't worry. This is all part of our job. Isn't it, Zach? DC Eagle here. Got any news for me? What sort of problem? Yes, that certainly is a problem. Judging from Daniel's temperament, things are bound to get out of control. Melvin, I need to find Professor R as soon as possible. That's right. I didn't ask for your personal opinion, Melvin, especially if it comes from an antiquated, xenophobic way of thinking that's characteristic of rural towns. This conversation is over, Melvin. You need to figure out what the Clarksons are planning. Call me again as soon as you know. Also, sorry, but would you mind coming to pick up Patricia? I would never think to take an innocent girl like her into an adult watering hole. No, Patricia. You signed a contract with me, remember? I promised to protect you from all the evil in our world. Patty, you're smart. Shockingly so. But you're still a child. And there are certain things a child like you doesn't need to learn about yet. Just go home for today. Zach and I are both in agreement on this one. I'm so glad you understand, Patty. Okay, Melvin, that's that. I'm leaving her here. The rest is in your hands. Patty, I'm sorry I have to do this. I don't mean to abandon you. I hope you understand. This next stop feels dangerous. Good. And do tell Melvin I said hi. What do you mean? Her is fine, Patty. Simply respect the gender that the person chose. No, that was a very important story you shared with me just now. You really are the perfect assistant. Thank you, Patricia. Look, Zach. That seat is beckoning us. Listen to the two ends and drink dry the firewater. Do this, and you will see the other world. Hungen's oracle pointed us to this bar, so we must have to do something here. But I feel like the firewater part is missing something. Zach, do you see that? It's a gigantic go sign. I think someone's trying to send us a very powerful message here. That settles it. This must be a singularity. Beautiful lipstick. The color red suits you. Maybe. Maybe not. But I know of a drug with a red color that certainly doesn't signify life. It sometimes even steals the lives of those who drown themselves in it. Catch my drift? That blaze doesn't cast out the darkness. It only emphasizes it. But where are my manners? I'm FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Let me get straight to the point. You were present when Elise Clarkson was murdered, and you were also involved with Galena Clarkson's death, correct? I'd love some firewater. Really? I don't see the resemblance. Are you talking about Zach? So you ran away from home, started making drugs, then seduced a young life and destroyed it? That story makes no sense to me. Think about it. They didn't burn you in a witch hunt. Nor did they ever try to take your life. Yet here you are, letting your selfish fantasies drive you to torch the entire town with vengeful fire. Now tell me, Leonard Clarkson, why did you abandon your inheritance only to end up in a place like this? What do you hope to achieve? The Red Soul? That's ridiculous. Ugh. Zach, no. Never. Zach and I will always be together.
Daddy! Daddy! Where are you, Daddy? Don't leave me here! Daddy! Please! I can't find Mommy either! Don't leave me alone! Please? Please, Daddy.
She got us, Zach. She spiked the drink with some sort of sleeping pill. No wonder they call her the Professor. Whew. But that was a rash move. Perhaps she realized that she's finally crossed the point of no return. Or... we need to head to the Clarksons at once, before it's too late. We can still stop this. Zach, it's a singularity. The Oracle was right on the mark. The mouth to the other world is open, ready to swallow us alive. I think this case is finally starting to come together. Here we go again, Zach. You're as excited as I am, aren't you? You don't have to explain everything. No need for words right now, not while this eccentric, provocative experience is begging us to come inside. Zach, do you feel it? Something happened here. It's the same feeling I got when we entered the place where Elise died. Professor R., Lena, came in here alone. It looks like nothing but a suicide attempt to me. Did she have some trick up her sleeve? That face, Zach. She looks so calm and collected. Perhaps she intended to take her own life after she murdered Philip, but that wouldn't solve anything. We know how calculating she is. Surely she must have understood that. Philip J. Clarkson, the horrible father that Professor R. spoke of. Of course, he looks perfectly calm. It's hard to believe that it's only my second time seeing him. He's an overwhelming man, Zach. They certainly look a little rough around the edges. Perhaps we should just call them the Clarkson gang. They're holding their weapons like total amateurs, which means they must not have had any formal training. Even if they came rushing in all at once, they'd still be no match for us. Maybe the Clarksons aren't as fearsome as the rumors make them out to be. Or perhaps they've fallen into such a decline that they can't even manage their own allies any longer. Zach, that's a miniature bomb. Lena must have set it here. Is this her trump card? It looks pretty elaborate. Another accolade for the professor. She also displayed expert precision when she used that fire to make my cocktail. Her wisdom gave birth to Sang Rouge. She must also have an advanced understanding of chemistry. I just hope she hasn't laid any other traps for us up ahead. Professor R. fought hard in this hall. Professor R. fought hard in this hall, and the last gunshot we heard sounded ominous, Zach. Everything she says seems to hint at some deeper meaning. Everything she says seems to hint at some deeper meaning. The goddess of fertility taking over all of Louisiana with her newfound power? The details elude me, but she's clearly plotting something big. But if she dies here, she'll never be able to complete it. Why risk it then? Oh well. Let's continue on, Zach. I'm sure we'll find the answer once we reach the inner sanctum. Now this is a surprise. Zach, where's Professor R? I know she came here. Well, I hate to rain on your sensational parade of a monologue, but my answer is simple. I came here chasing a drug called Sang Rouge that's been steadily permeating the southern states, and I plan to arrest all the perpetrators involved in the name of justice. So be it. You're free to interpret my words any way you like. Zach, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to prove that we fight on the side of justice. But why was Philip here in the first place? I thought we were inside her mind. No need to answer, Zach. The only reason this world's so fun is because of all the mysteries it holds. Your cocktail was delicious. So delicious, in fact, that it carried me off into a dream. Professor R., what did you hope to achieve by coming back to this house? I don't believe for a moment that you'd ever risk your life just to get revenge on your father. You left this place in order to find your true self. But what did that achieve? In the end, you fell back into Le Carré. And now you spend your time selling the new drug you created, preying on the weak. You and the Clarksons are exactly alike in that regard. No, you choose your victims indiscriminately, which makes you even uglier. Stop trying to rationalize your crimes with that dramatic gibberish. Vicissitudo, the Latin word used to describe a fluctuation between two polar opposites. Galena's body wasn't a declaration of war. It was this, wasn't it? Those severed roots were fakes. Who did you force to kill Galena? What you're talking about is true madness, not some noble fairy tale. Zach, here it is again. a red tree, and a translucent cocoon. I think we've reached the core. That's the true self you worked so hard to find. I'm sorry, Lena. I gave you far more credit than I ever should have. Died with honor. Just how deluded are you? You dismembered them and strung up their bodies in the name of vapid symbolism. Where's the honor in that? So what if they said they wanted to die? Cultists have been saying that for centuries. Lena, let go. I'm going to count to 3. Then you're going to get down on the ground and put your hands behind your head. Got it? 1. Do something smart for once, Lena. Detonating that bomb won't solve anything. Don't, Lena! Is that the goddess of fertility? No! Stop! What is it, Patty? Where's Melvin? Patty, I need someone at the Clarksons' house ASAP. I don't care who you send. They can also ask Daniel Clarkson about the details once they get here. And you should also call an ambulance, just in case. Got it? I'm going to head straight over to the sheriff's office, Patty. Let's meet up there. Did you find Melvin? Either of them. Zach, we need to stop Professor R's plan no matter what it takes. Relax, Patty. You don't need to worry about a thing. I'm sure that Melvin just stumbled across an important clue that's stolen his attention for now, and I'm sure he's protecting your mother while he's at it. Let's just leave the investigation to the local police and rest for today. I need to prepare a report for the HQ anyway. How about staying with me in my room until we find them? You don't need to worry. I can't make you any homemade food, but I've got a first-class chef and a first-class concierge at my disposal. Oh, and a very affable bellboy. It's a lot of fun at that hotel. You're a lady, so you take the bed. Zach and I will be fine on the couch. Zach, the Clarkson family tree is nothing like we thought it was. We need to reorganize everything we've uncovered so far. She was so tired she fell right to sleep. Hey, Zach, I'm in a very difficult spot right now. I feel like this case is heading in a direction that will be extremely unpleasant for her. I've never felt anything like this during any of our cases thus far. First, let's go back to the beginning. Elise Clarkson's body was found hanging under a bridge over the bayou, in a deserted spot close to where the bayou meets the Mississippi. The one who fired the pistol at Heaven surely had no idea what he would find there. Speaking of which, Zach, Chuck, the man who started this race we're running, what's his occupation? No, that title belongs to our sage-like mentor, Emma Sanders. Zach, don't tell me you already forgot about how she gave us special training. She's the only reason we were able to keep forging ahead. I feel indebted to her. And I don't think she'd appreciate this error. There isn't a single pro bowler in this town. Think again. Mrs. Carpenter is an elderly madam who lives off her pension, not a pro. And that reminds me. Didn't we spy Pastor Sanders lamenting her lack of faith? If you ask me, she puts her faith in bowling, period. Now, Zach, could I trouble you for a serious answer? That's right. He's a crawfish farmer, and after chasing a poacher's boat that crossed over into his farmland, he went up the bayou and was fortunate enough to find Lisa's body. I doubt it was a very pleasant experience for him. But if not for his discovery, Lisa's body might have started rotting out there. He's a difficult person to be sure, but I don't think he's a bad guy. Chuck said something peculiar. He claimed the Clarksons were a little better when their son was still around. I don't know exactly what he meant, but we ended up meeting the person he was talking about, didn't we? Under very unexpected circumstances. Leonard Clarkson. He ran away from home, found his true self, then changed names. So, Zach, do you remember her name? Philip J. Clarkson. He took the empire his father created and made it bigger and better. Imagine his shock when it all suddenly started to crumble and decline. No matter the age, Zach, people are always prone to destroying their own families. Betrayals, rebellions, coups d'etats, public executions. Our history has proven this time and time again. Professor R was simply honoring a human tradition, but no logic could ever justify what she did. Come on, Zach, I know you can remember her name. Zach, are you trying to be funny? It's true that as of now, Danny's the last standing heir, and I guess it also makes him their eldest living son, but you know that wasn't what I meant. So let me ask you again. Who is Professor R? Helena Doman. The townspeople call her Lena. She was also known as Professor R while she plotted against the Clarksons. She's the mother of the new drug known as Sang Rouge. She must have also had a group of followers who worshipped her fanatically. I can see it now. Lena sprinkling down the red powder, corrupting every last pure and innocent girl in town. Lena mentioned her plan each time we met. She must have taken us for utter fools, Zach. She thought she was always one step ahead of us, and that we'd never see the full scope of her plan. Well, her plan isn't complete yet. And I know we can still stop it. That's why we need to learn all we can about her. Her alias was Professor R, and she was well learned in the areas of medicine and fire dynamics. By the way, Zach, do you remember what weapon Lena used to murder PJ? If she used poisonous gas, we might not be here right now. Remember, our investigation led us into the same building they were in. The murder weapon was something else. A machete and an axe. Now that's a classic combo. Pamela and Jason Voorhees, a sad tale of a mother and son who truly loved each other. And perhaps it was also meant as a warning for young people who planned to go camping that summer. 1980. Directed by Sean S. Cunningham, Friday the 13th. But my personal favorite character has to be the adult Jason, who first appears in Friday the 13th Part 2. I even cried when they showed us just how well he'd taken care of his mother's head. Okay, Zach, I think that's enough digressing for now. Ready to give me a straight answer? Correct. She used a miniature bomb. To tell you the truth, she surprised me. That bomb was so well placed. It left hardly any damage on the building itself, yet still did amazing work on them. Lena should have used that brain of hers for something more productive than that saga of revenge. For example, reviving Lucare's economy from the industrial sector. Widen your perspective, and you'll see that Louisiana is an industrial treasure trove. With her intelligence and her charisma, I'm sure she would have found some amazing opportunities. Such a tragedy. Zach, there's one more important matter we need to think about here. Galena Clarkson, who was murdered in jail. Her body was dismembered, then rearranged into a V shape. Patty and Melvin claimed it was a severed roots killing, but that doesn't make sense to me. And PJ Clarkson disapproved of it when I met him in the other world. He saw Galena's parts lined up and was overcome by an inexplicable fear. Tell me, who killed Galena? Unfortunately, we don't have the answer to this one yet, and it's too big a problem to solve with mere speculation. The answer to this question may lead to a major turning point for this case and the final turning point for this story. You know it's true, Zach. I only hope it doesn't push us down an avenue we didn't plan on exploring. Hey, Zach, do you remember PJ's last words? Lenny had intercourse with his older sister, his own flesh and blood. This means there's still one more person out there who inherited PJ's blood. You're Elise Clarkson. Sorry, Patty, I'm fine now. More importantly, do these red seeds come from some kind of plant that grows around this area? This isn't your average backwoods town. The Clarksons' ego and control has been piercing the town's heart like a massive dinosaur bone. But over this past century, time has been busy eroding the beast's power from within. And now, the very thing that once fortified this town is polluting it with putrid gas and rotten marrow. Zach, this is the point where it all collapses. After Elise Clarkson was murdered, her body was put back together here, just like how Galena's body was dismembered, then rearranged within the holding cell. Lena Doman and PJ's bodies were also blown to pieces in the end. Perhaps that's the nature of the curse that's taken hold of the Clarksons. What do you think, Zach? Is there any significance to these similarities? This altar is covered in burn marks, but there's hardly any residue left. There's no way for me to tell what was burned here. I could send it home for analysis, but is that really necessary? It'll just end up giving Abrahams more busy work. More importantly, Zach, someone who knew how to manipulate fire was behind all this. In other words, these roots prove that Lena was here. And that's enough for me. The growth is all missing from this particular section. It wasn't just cutaway. She used fire to burn it out. Everything was planned so meticulously, as if she wanted to show this altar to someone. That's why Chuck ended up discovering it. Zach, this is an ominous sign. Among all the different footprints here are a set made from engineer boots. Yes, I know. He probably only made them when he came to inspect the scene. I'm sure that Patty and I left our own set of prints here too. But how do you explain the set that's inside the yellow tape? There's some decomposing cloth here. We saw the same type of cloth at the sugarcane plantation. They must have used that cloth when they transported Lisa's body. But who cares about mundane evidence like that? This isn't a case that can be solved by gathering the kind of evidence we'd need to submit to a court. These bridge beams have a very unique shape to them. One straight support in the center, reinforced by V-shaped columns coming up diagonally from the sides. Did this bridge always look like this? Oh well, I'm sure it has nothing to do with this case. Let's move on with the inspection, Zach. These red seeds keep sticking out to me. But we need to figure out what's going on with this altar before we focus on anything else. Isn't that right, Zach? There's a flat, evenly weighted stone here. I bet we could use this to score an amazing stone skipping record. Let's give it a try whenever we get some downtime. For now, we need to focus on this investigation, Zach. Why do you think I solved the case? Hey, Chuck. Can you see the altar from there? You told me that the poacher's boat you were chasing disappeared around this area, correct? Chuck, we don't chase down fishing boats. Unless it's a terrorist boat that plans to overthrow our government, that is. Zach, he just taught us what the true purpose of this altar is. It was built here so that the ritual could be watched from a boat in the bayou. The goddess of fertility, Patty. Of course I do, Hoongan. My work here isn't finished yet. You know, I could really use one of your oracles right now. Poetic and graceful as ever, Hoongan. Hoongan's oracles are leading us toward the core of this case. That's the one thing I'm sure of. But don't misunderstand, Zach. I'm not blindly following him. I only follow my intuition. Metaphysical offender profiling. That's all there is to it. The 17 comrades must refer to some area that has 17 of the same thing in it. We may need to use history to figure this one out. After all, we need to find someone or something that saw the birth of New Orleans. And we can't just round up every last old person in town. Somewhere, there are 17 comrades who've survived for a very long time. The word comrade seems to suggest that they aren't inorganic objects such as buildings. Maybe they're statues made to look like living creatures. Or some other organic life form. Well, Zach, have you figured it out yet? That's not it, Zach. The 17 comrades must have survived for a shockingly long time. Remember, they were here to see the birth of New Orleans. The 17 comrades saw the birth of New Orleans, which means they've been alive for hundreds of years. There's only one life form I can think of that could amass that much history. That's it, Zach. The French established the colony of La Nouvelle-Orléans in 1718, just about 300 years ago. The only 17 comrades that would have been around back then are the 300-year-old oak trees along this road, a majestic road lined by oak trees. Come on, let's go ask these sages of Lucare for some help on our investigation. Zach, the Holy Allah is a shockingly simple metaphor, especially considering the quality of the oracles we've received thus far. It seems as if Hungan's poetic muse is finally running dry. The great thing about us Americans is that we can recreate our homeland anywhere. We're happy to transport crunchy bacon across the deserts of Africa if we need to. That's what it means to be American, and this Holy Allah is just another example of that. From the early days of the frontier era, they've been helping us Americans be what we've always meant to be. Hey, Zach, if the Holy Allah needs to be filled, things must be dire. Imagine what would happen if the Holy Allah were to run dry. The townspeople would instantly face multiple serious problems. They'd lose their domestic water, of course, but it would also affect their irrigation and industrial water. It would be a much greater crisis than simply losing the ability to take a shower. And no one would be able to make fresh coffee either. We definitely need to finish up with this oracle before that happens. Zach, there's no Allah there. Don't think so hard about it. The Holy Allah refers to that one thing we see so often in American towns. You're overthinking this, Zach. Yes, if you think about it in a very convoluted way, I suppose you could say that this fits the bill. But remember what I said before? Hungan's quizzes are always child's play. Think about it like a child would. That's it. I never doubted you, Zach. The Holy Allah refers to a water tower, specifically that water tower with its Clarkson family crest. It must be hiding some sort of clue. Let's fill the Allah and see what it yields. Zach, what do you think the giant lady's finger is? I'm at a loss. I never thought one of Hungan's childish riddles would force me to think so hard. But, oh well. I'm sure that as we deal with the rest of the oracle, it'll reveal itself to us. Listen carefully, Patricia. As my skilled assistant, I trust you a great deal, so I want you to answer me honestly. Do you have any idea where Melvin might have gone? He didn't seem to be acting or talking differently than usual? Okay, I believe your words. Zach, we have a lot of work to do. It feels like we're finally approaching the climax here. Zach, do you sense that? These trees have watched over this land for the past 300 years. Long before the Clarksons built up their town, these trees were here. If they could speak, I wonder what they'd have to say about this case. Has there always been a different number of trees on each side? Intriguing, Patty. Why did he cut one down? Zach, the shape of these seeds. They look just like the ones we saw at Lisa's altar. Patty, it appears that legend about the red tree wasn't a total lie. The first tree is withered and gone, but the shells from its seeds remain. Perhaps that red tree left some descendants somewhere else. Zach, he seems to know something that we don't. Doesn't it seem like he's trying to guide us somewhere? Change of plans, Patty. Let's go on a little stroll with that Dalmatian. Is this the red tree that General planted? A maple tree? Then it shouldn't be red at this time of year. Looks like it's time to move on. What a fantastic guide we managed to find. He actually waited for us to finish talking before taking us on to the next spot. Hey, Patty, how would you rate this creation? Zach, did you catch all that? She sounded just like the curator of an art gallery in New York. I think we may have just uncovered a new side of her. But unfortunately, I can't see anything artistic about it. Honestly, it looks insane to me. That's all I get from it. And there's no way that this is a descendant of the tree that the General planted. Well, this is a problem. I'm not the best swimmer. Patty, let's hurry around to the bridge and see if we can catch up to him. It appears that we've lost sight of our guide, Zach. Oh well, let's head back to the last tree. Zach, we can't fall behind this time. We need to stick close to him. Zach, now this is interesting. It looks like a tree that you could find anywhere. Yet, it's also unlike any other, completely alien, and look how it's weaved its way into the landscape. almost like cancer cells invading a human body. You might not even notice it unless you're focused on finding it. And this feeling, as I gaze upon this tree, I can feel evil emotions rising out from within me. Why on earth did that Southern general bring this tree into this town? I promise to protect you from all the evil in our world. Do not touch this tree. Got that, Patty? We successfully spoke with the 17 comrades. I feel like they showed us a side of nature that transcends the realms of human knowledge. Next up is the Holy Allah. According to the Oracle, the Holy Allah needs to be filled. We may be due for another childish puzzle soon, Zach, but that's okay. After all, we came all the way out here to the boondocks. Why not enjoy playing by their rules for a bit? The height gives them the necessary pressure to pump the water out. Also, building it in a spot where anyone could easily access it would only create more problems. In a certain Missouri town, they built the water tower low enough that a person could easily climb up to it, and that's exactly where a mass murderer decided to hide the bodies of all his victims. The water tower was so low to the ground that he could even climb up to it while carrying a dead body on his back. Incidentally, they ended up finding a total of 43 bodies in there. But the part that truly shocked Zach and I wasn't the number of bodies, Patty. It was the fact that over the 6 months from the first murder to when the case was solved, that whole time, the townspeople had been drinking the water. But Patty, I was just getting to the good part. Listen carefully, Patricia. You just leave Melvin to me. I promise I'll take care of things. You're grown up. You're more of an adult than anyone else in this town, I guarantee it. But that doesn't mean you have to suffer through everything without ever saying a word about it. Just remember that, okay? Zach, it looks like the Holy Allah hasn't been sucking up water properly. No wonder the shower in our hotel room felt so weak. Patty, who manages this water tower? The Clarksons. Judging from their current situation, I don't think they'll be able to give us a timely response. Do you know where the water comes from? That settles it. Let's fill the Holy Allah and solve this problem ourselves. Isaac Lake? They wanted people to remember the power of the Clarkson family every time they use their water, huh? The water level's higher than I expected. They probably haven't been out here to check on it since Elise was murdered. Mr. Alligator, never thought I'd have to use you to fight a real alligator. Just what does that skeletal gentleman have in mind for us, Zach? Open the door, Patty! Now, Patty! Okay, Zach. Let's head back to the Holy Allah. We need to confirm with our own eyes that we've completed the skeletal gentleman's oracle. Zach, the Holy Allah is filling up. Looks like we'll be able to take a warm, invigorating shower tonight. Patty, are you okay? Worried about your parents? I'm sorry to hear that. I already hurt you once in the past, and now it looks like I've gone and done it again. He what? The heir to the Clarkson legacy has come for us, Zach. And he doesn't sound very composed. I could arrest you for drunk driving, but I simply haven't got the time. Satan? Not quite, Daniel. I'm just an agent carrying out a mission in accordance with federal law. On the contrary, I came to put a stop to all these problems. You might even consider thanking me for it. Whether you like it or not, you're the new heir to the Clarkson legacy. You could rebuild their empire, or resign it to the ravages of time. Do whatever you like. But you'll no longer be able to borrow a certain someone's power and march around like you own this town. You need to accept that and prepare to survive. Okay, Zach, our investigation just led us to fill up a Holy Allah. What do you think we'll end up doing next? Perhaps we're embarking on a new saintly line of work here, but I suppose we have the skeletal gentleman to thank for that. Next, we need to speak with the 17 comrades. We were blessed with this oracle, so we have a duty to follow it out to the end. Zach, it's no use. The skeletal gentleman is a strict one, that's for sure. We're going to have to figure out what the giant lady's finger is if we want to continue on with this oracle. Lady's finger. Lady's finger. I'm at a loss, Zach. The only thing that comes to mind is a certain lady in glasses who displayed her middle finger to a truck driver. The student driver who was driving the car that Leslie Nielsen jumped into in order to chase down a criminal. 1988, directed by David Zucker. The Naked Gun. That car chase was terrific. It felt like we were watching one of our own car chases from the real world. That director must have gotten some advice from actual police officers. Otherwise, there's no way he would have been able to film such a realistic chase. Another name for Okra? Huh. Okra. My talented assistant strikes again. You solved the oracle instead of me. Let's hurry over to the okra farm at once then, and find the biggest piece of okra while we're at it. The key word is giant, so it must be rather large. I'll bet it looks positively grotesque, Zach. And just imagine the stickiness. Ooh. I think I'll refrain from taking a bite. No? Okra farm? Okra boy. You're right. No matter how you look at him, he really is a giant lady's finger. But, Patty, there's no okra farm in this town, is there? Then why did they choose okra for the town mascot? The plot thickens. Zach, doesn't it look like he's pointing at something? Let's follow that white glove. Patty. That's it. So this used to be the control device for the drawbridge, but it looks like its insides have been replaced with something else. Looks that way. Patty, trial and error won't get us anywhere. There are 26 letters in the alphabet, which makes for 17,576 different combinations if we use 3 of them. Let's try something more efficient. Just leave this to Zach and I. Zach, this password may look complicated at first glance, but you needn't worry. This is a chemical formula. A challenge from Professor R. The H that's tattooed all over the leftmost panel stands for hydrogen. In other words, the leftmost panel represents the molecule you get when 3 hydrogen atoms merge. All we need to do is figure out which chemicals go in the remaining panel. Try reviewing what we know. We spoke to the 17 comrades who saw the birth of New Orleans, filled the Holy Allah, then found the giant lady's finger pointing toward the entrance to the Forbidden. After we met the 17 comrades, we encountered that ominous red tree. There was sap dripping out from the red tree's trunk, wasn't there? That must have been a metaphor for wood vinegar. Then, in order to fill the Holy Allah, we went to the reservoir. The water tower represents a distillator, and the water represents coolant. Wood vinegar, distillator, and water, Zach. Figured it out yet? The chemical formula is CH3OH, methanol. It's got to be COH. Starting from the left in that order. Methanol is highly flammable and used as the base ingredient in formaldehyde. This has Professor R's name written all over it. That oracle really sent us on a roundabout mission this time. It almost feels like we're playing a video game here. Talk about stupid. Zach, start at the left window. Then put in C, O, and H. The answer is methanol. That must be the entrance to the Forbidden, Zach. Avery Smith. You're right, Avery, but don't worry. I got permission to touch it. That's right. Permission from the President of the United States. Yes, I have to. For the sake of the investigation. That's a rare word to hear coming from your mouth, Patty. I don't see much in there aside from some overgrown weeds, do you? You don't need to worry, Patty. You're my precious assistant, remember? I promise I'll protect you, no matter what happens. Patty, the truth is, when I first saw Okra Boy, I remembered something horrific. The most evil monster I've ever seen, in fact. Oh, yes. A demon incarnate who plunged New York City into mortal fear. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Ghostbusters, 1984, directed by Ivan Reitman. Now that's a film that was filled to the brim with bona fide horror, a true masterpiece that boasted an honest depiction of just how frightening a real ghost would be. Even if you watched it now, I'm sure it would still chill you to the bone. First night I watched it, I was too afraid to go to the bathroom alone, so I made Zach come with me. Zach, I think we found a laboratory. A research log. No, it looks more like a journal. Look, Zach. This belonged to Lena Doman. A professor to the very end. This book is filled with all sorts of detailed notes. She studied abroad during school, most likely in order to get as far away from her father's prejudice as possible. Abroad, she studied chemistry and fire dynamics, then cultivated the groundwork for Sang Rouge. If what's written in this journal is to be believed, Sang Rouge is a naturally derived substance. That must mean it's something akin to ayahuasca, the hallucinogen found in the Amazon region. But Sang Rouge wasn't actually produced here. It appears that a special environment is necessary to summon the red demon. Zach, look at this. It's her. No, him. It says that when Lena was still known as Lenny, he once fell in love with a woman. He fell in love with his older sister. That matches up with what PJ mentioned just before he died. And apparently, they had a daughter. The Clarksons' family tree is far more complicated than I could have imagined. And here it says that the Clarksons' older daughter later fell in love with someone in town and got married. Then she must still be somewhere in this town. Hey, Patty, did you know about all this? This entry is from right after Lenny became Lena. Zach, what could this mean? A salesman passing through town gave me an epiphany that changed my life. She didn't create Sang Rouge until after she met this person. And from that point onward, she started fanatically worshipping someone. She also ceases to mention anything more about her older sister, and the word goddess of fertility starts appearing everywhere. The final entry. written just before she headed to the Clarksons' house. No one can stop my plan. Not even me. My only worry now is P. I only pray the Fool King can stop him. Zach, it looks like we've uncovered yet another new character. Who's the Fool King? This is starting to read like a badly written tragedy. And P. It appears that Lena's worried about whether or not the Fool King will be able to stop our investigation and successfully murder this P character. P. Philip? Or Professor? No. It can't be. Oh. Whew. Oh. Hi there, Hoongan. Long time no see. This is definitely your simplest oracle by far. Patty. Now it all makes sense. Zach, we need to hurry back to the hotel and put all this in order. We found many new truths hidden in Lena Doman's journal, and some of them went far beyond our wildest dreams. First, we should clear up who PJ's first daughter is. She was a complete mystery until now, but after reading Lena's journal, I became convinced of something. She still lives somewhere in this town. Lena's journal stated that this woman married someone from the same town. Did you figure it out yet, Zach? Who is PJ Clarkson's first daughter? The Clarksons are of Irish descent. PJ's first wife was also a town elite who came from Irish ancestry. In other words, Alexis couldn't possibly be his daughter. His actual daughter should also be a little younger. Zach, once more, who is PJ Clarkson's first daughter? Elise Clarkson, the first victim in this case. She was still just a teenager. And she wasn't PJ's daughter, but his granddaughter. She was the daughter of PJ's second daughter, Galena, and his son-in-law, Daniel, remember? PJ's first daughter should be blonde, white, and much older. You must know the answer by now, Zach. Who's PJ Clarkson's first daughter? Yes, Melvin's beloved wife, and the most beautiful woman in town, Candy. She's PJ Clarkson's first daughter, which means that just like Galena, Candy also carries his blood. Now we know why Melvin said that Galena was a beauty who could attract a lot of attention. Candy had no interest in the inheritance and was also sexually liberated. That must be why PJ ended up coddling Lenny so much. Candy is supposedly sick, but she's now become a key person in our case. She must be why Melvin's gone missing. Melvin's beloved wife, Candy, committed a transgression in her past. Zach, what was it? What's wrong with that? Every couple and every family have their own ways of getting along. As long as they're happy, who cares? No one has any business telling them how they should behave. A shocking guess, but I have to shoot it down. I think we can say without a shred of doubt that she didn't have intercourse with Philip. He was certainly violent and possessed a very antiquated set of values, but he also had his own code of honor. All right, Zach, back to the drawing board. Tell me what Candy's transgression was. That's right. Candy had intercourse with her younger brother, Leonard. Then she gave birth to a child that we know very well. We never heard any mention of her biological father anywhere in town, despite how much these country folk love to spread rumors. I knew there had to be some secret connected to her birth, but I never thought it'd be something like this. It's beyond anything I ever could have imagined, Zach. Next up is the Fool King, Zach. All you need to do is pick out the person who acted most like a fool when we encountered them. Honestly, the answer is clear. And it's a painful one to accept, isn't it, Zach? Danny Clarkson. You're right, he's one of the bigger clowns we've met. He came all the way from sunny California to marry into the Clarkson family. His father-in-law belittled him, and the townspeople ostracized him. On top of that, he lost both his beloved daughter and his wife. Not to mention his own right arm. No, he isn't the Fool King. He's more akin to the first gravedigger from Hamlet. Right now, I bet he feels just like that gravedigger did when he was digging Ophelia's grave. Okay, that's enough of that. Zach, right now I need you to focus on determining who the Fool King is. True, Chuck Thompson might make a good fool, but that's an old custom which died out in the Middle Ages, Zach. Our age is all about diversity. People shouldn't be discriminated against due to their unique characteristics. Rather, society should adapt to them. Therefore, in our case, anyone can be a fool, and anyone can be a king. Let's try this again. Who is the Fool King? Melvin. He's got to be the Fool King. The way he's acted from the moment he located Lisa's body up to now. The way Galena was murdered, silenced, without any resistance. His discord with the Clarksons. The words PJ left behind. And the engineer boot prints we saw at the discovery site. It feels like the missing puzzle pieces are all falling into place now. But why did he decide to take part in Lena's plan? According to Patricia, he seemed to be avoiding Lena. There's no way he actually could have believed that the goddess of fertility would come and save the town. Oh, so that's it, Melvin. As you nursed Candy,
You too became corrupted by Sang Rouge. Drugs rob people of their judgment. They slowly but surely eat away at their users. That's most likely the reason it took Lena so long to enact her plan. I don't know what to say, Zach. This is absolutely unbearable. Lena fell in love with her older sister Candy, and the two of them had intercourse. But afterwards, Lena realized that there was a disparity between her body and her mind, and descended into suffering. Finally, Lena left home and decided to live on as Professor R. Meanwhile, Candy fell in love with Melvin, which led to her leaving home as well. I could only guess that Lena and Candy's relationship continued after they left home. Then, their strange love transformed into something else that bound them together in a powerful new way. Lena must have periodically delivered Sang Rouge to Candy as offerings to the goddess of fertility. It's hard to keep going with this, Zach. You know where it's all leading, don't you? If Lena's plan was to kill off every last Clarkson aside from her goddess, then her next target is PJ's last living descendant. She's in danger. We need to hurry, Zach. The climax is upon us. Whoever hit me in that control room sure wasn't holding back. The blow was so devastating that I passed out instantly. There aren't many people who could do that. Oh, they hit me right in my head, so my memories are fuzzy. Not my finest hour, to say the least. Now, what should we do next? First, we're going to need to refresh ourselves a little. Sunbathing, Zach. Let's go bask in some liquid sunshine that's just as hot as the sun out there. Zach, first we need to refresh ourselves. Caffeine. That's what we need, preferably through hot, intoxicatingly aromatic coffee brewed from freshly ground beans. And there's only one place we can get that. I still don't feel refreshed yet, Zach. How about we go and grab a warm cup of joe? I'm sure it'll lead us to a new revelation. Caffeine, Zach. We need caffeine, full of energy, just like that blazing sun. That's what we need to refresh our brains. What do you say? Let's kick back and enjoy some good old-fashioned coffee. Hey there, Chef. How's it going? Not quite, Chef. Our work isn't complete just yet. May I trouble you for a cup of coffee? As hot as this blistering midsummer sun. Passionate and ferociously fragrant. I'm dead serious. Thank you for your offer, but I'll have to decline, Chef. I said I want coffee, and I meant it. That hot, bitter, dark, maddeningly odoriferous muddy water. Zach, I seem to have mistaken our chef here for a more open-minded person. Oh well. It'll cost us a bit of time, but let's head over to Alexis's. Hello, Alexis. Yes, someone did quite the number on me. Yes, that's it, Alexis. Just what I was waiting for. Would it be possible to get an especially pungent cup, smoldering with all the heat of the southern sun? Zach, look, Patty. No, Melvin, no! Where is this boathouse located? Just tell me. Where is this boathouse located? Well, then, can you at least tell me when this photo was taken? There was a building this tall in town back then? Thank you. That's all the info I need. Would you mind if I borrowed this? Thanks for your help. And keep the change. Now this is a surprise, Zach. Can a human being really turn themselves around this quickly? I'd like to get your permission to climb up to the roof. Right up to that hideous sign there. Danny, I'm not a genius. I'm a complete failure. I never even gave a single thought to PJ Clarkson's first daughter. I was practically oblivious the entire time. I never considered the possibility that Lena had a child either, and that misstep cost us many sacrifices. Zach, it appears that Daniel's turned over a new leaf. Tragedies can force people to grow. I suppose it was the same for us, Zach. All of the obstacles we've overcome together have made us into what we are now. Let's just pray that his job isn't the beginning of a new revenge saga. Which one is it, Zach? Patricia must be in the boathouse we saw in that photograph, along with Melvin and Candy, the goddess of fertility. Zach, I see a graveyard over there. Whenever I visit Louisiana, I'm always mesmerized by those unique grave houses. Do you know what the locals call those graves? Ovens. Since the elevation is so low around here, they can't bury bodies in the ground. That's what gave way to these unique two-story grave houses. Bodies are placed on the second stories, which allows the southern sun to cook them. Just like a real oven, the resulting ash falls down to the first floor, completing the burial rite. Due to this, people say you're not supposed to open any of the graves for at least 13 months after the bodies are first buried. How's that for an eerie tradition? Why would anyone have a reason to open up a grave after burial? Unless a serial killer went and murdered someone's entire family. I just can't see any reason why you'd do that. What do you think, Zach? Zach, there's the bayou. It flows out in a surprisingly straight line from here. Normally, I imagine bayous as having more twisted, serpentine shapes. The Bayou Teche that flows under Bro Bridge is a perfect example of this. It twists and turns down through 4 parishes, from St. Landry to St. Mary. Just another one of nature's mysteries, Zach. There it is, on the north edge of town. The Great Mississippi River. The smoke rising up from the smokestacks on the opposite bank belongs to a petrochemical complex. It really surprised me when I first saw it, to think they'd build a massive complex like that on the side of the river, amidst all this sprawling, majestic nature. But then I thought about it, and it all made sense. For the last several thousand years, all the vital well springs for civilization have been located next to big rivers. Rivers don't just bless us with nature's bounty. They also give us a better way to distribute our goods. Zach, do you see those high-voltage pylons lined up over there? In a flat region like this, power towers are without a doubt the tallest things you'll find. You know, the wind feels strong up here, almost like the prelude to a storm. We need to hurry up and close this case. What I saw at Alexis's restaurant, not only was my mind still reeling, but the oracle was also rather vague. But so what, Zach? We just need to find the same boathouse that we saw in that picture. There's got to be another singularity inside it. Zach, that's the boathouse. It's right where the photograph was taken, but I have no idea how we're supposed to reach it. Zach? It looks like we have no choice but to head back to the starting line. Let's go and see the one who fired the pistol at Heaven. He should be able to transport us straight to that boathouse. Remember, his love for justice is so strong that he chased a poacher's boat all the way up the bayou. I'm sure he'll be happy to help us. Zach, stop and just imagine it for a moment. Chuck's face, once he hears that poacher's boat is actually a shrine housing the goddess of fertility. What's this? Who left this message for her? Zach, you know what? I forgot all about our 10-foot giant. We still have a lot of work left to do in this town. Zach, there's the biggest man we've seen in town thus far. Let's talk to him just in case. Hello there, Avery. I need your help. Would you mind raising your arms up high like this for me? Thank you. That's perfect. It appears that even with your height, you'd have a tough time reaching a spot up that high. Avery, I understand how you feel. I'm sure that Elise does too. Oh yes. I guarantee it. Right now, I'm trying to eliminate the cause of her death, but I need your assistance. If you ever see a man who looks taller and stronger than you, I want you to let me know. Hello, Chuck. The time has finally come to catch that poacher's boat you spoke of. You're exactly right, Chuck. I discovered that boat does contain perpetrators who are potentially capable of overthrowing our country. Perpetrators who are deeply connected to a new drug called Sang Rouge. Yes, I need your help. I can't solve this case without your help, Chuck. If you're angry about how I acted earlier, then please allow me to apologize. Then how can I get you to trust me? Chuck, that was amazing. Absolutely incredible. Fantastic. How did you do that? The answer lies in his physical advantage. That's it, Zach. Your stance when you toss makes all the difference. I can't get over how beautiful his stance was. Just what am I missing? Chuck said to stay low to the ground. Keeping a low profile is key. A low profile, huh? That's easier said than done. I always try to keep a low profile, but I feel like my efforts backfire more often than not, especially when I try to be considerate to people. Honestly, I feel like deep down, people only act humble and considerate in order to feel good about themselves. After all, that whole process exists only inside our heads. Do you know what the stone skipping world record is? Currently, in 2005, the record is 40 rebounds, which was set in a 2002 tournament in Pennsylvania. Can you believe that, Zach? Once scientific analysis progresses, we'll probably see even greater records. 10 years from now, the world record might get doubled. 80 rebounds. Can you imagine? I wonder what our best record will end up being. Unfortunately, we don't have a Guinness judge at our disposal, so none of our records will be official. But so what? I couldn't care less about records. I simply want to dazzle people with my beautiful stone-skipping finesse. Don't you, Zach? Really? Well, I did have a great teacher. That's what helped me to stay low. Zach, this is exhilarating. It's like an amusement park ride, only better. This is yet another reminder about just how vast and varied our homeland of America is. That's it, Zach. I knew you had it in you. Good thing you're here to help. Yikes. That was a close shave. Be careful. You're almost there. You can do it, Zach. Something's over there. Zach, what was that? Remember what they taught you at Quantico. Zach, this is the Deep South. This is Louisiana. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate all your help. Zach, a deadly premonition. How do you feel about this one? Honestly, I'm torn. I know the truth that awaits us here isn't one we want to accept, but we have to keep marching ahead. We're FBI special agents, remember? The United States Department of Justice has authorized us to deliver justice in their name. You know, sometimes I get to thinking, why did I ever decide to work in the justice sector? So far, so good, Zach. Let's keep pressing on. Impressive as usual, Zach. My agent's intuition is speaking to me. There's something ominous here. This is no normal jungle. What's going on? That hurt. We have to be more careful. Zach, this is going to be rough.
Ugh, there's something up ahead. What is that? Be careful. This Deadly Premonition is exquisite. Make sure you take the time to enjoy it. Zach, would you be able to explain this phenomenon if you had to? Mr. Alligator? I sure owe you a lot, but as of now, all I keep thinking is, what if you were a real gun? Zach, we've reached the final stage. Are you prepared for the truth? Sorry, but I don't worship that deity. Patty, everything's all right now. Just come over to me. You didn't. Sang Rouge? This is straight out of a bad C movie, Melvin. Power isn't important to you, Melvin. All you care about is your loving family, remember? The man who won the heart of the most beautiful girl in the world. Melvin Woods. We can still stop this from happening. You just need to wake up, Melvin. She wasn't perfect in any way, Melvin. She was just another criminal who happened to be a bit smarter than most. You mean she started growing horribly obese, so you murdered Galena, too? Patty, are you all right? Yeah! Patty, Zach, I need you. Give me strength. Are you all right? Let's go, Patty. Oh, God. You've become quite the crybaby since I last saw you, Zach. Hi there. Good to see you again, Patty. FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan, please. Call me York. That's what everyone calls me. Yes, that's right. I'm Zach, and Zach is me. We're your old friends, Patty. You have the contract, don't you? Both Zach and I signed that contract with you. So before this all ends, we need to work together to make sure we fulfill our end of the deal. That's the correct answer here. Isn't that right, Zach? Death is inevitable, Patricia. It descends upon us all equally. All life dies in the end, and no one can change that. Sorry, but this is an extenuating circumstance. Are you sure you're prepared for everything that entails? You can only break the rules once. Listen to me, Patricia. When Zach wakes up, I want you to tell him something. This is our final farewell. Thank you so much for all you've done. Over all those years, you never forgot about me, did you? It's been so long since we've seen each other, but I know you always kept me in your heart. That's what kept me alive. I owe it all to you, Zach. Thank you, and goodbye.